What is up, Endgame community? I'm Pierre. He's Chris. We are the Fantasy Endgame, and we wouldn't be here without you. Thanks to your support, we're able to do this every single week and extend it now. Those of you who, as we just see, are some first-time viewers, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We do this for 3 hours because 2 hours just wasn't enough to answer all your questions, and that is what we do. We're trying to help you as much as possible, and we will do that. So I'll explain in a second what we do. But first, let me remind you that as you put your questions in here for the stream, we're going to try to get as many as we can possible, but it's just not realistic. So what we will do is get to the super chats first. So if you do put in a super chat, we guarantee your question will be answered and in the order that we receive them. All right. So obviously you can do that. If you want to join us in a smaller setting and get even more questions answered, well, that's easy. Become a Patreon. So it's patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. The link for that is going to be below in the description. We'll do this basically the exact same thing tomorrow morning, 2 hours before kickoff, and get as many questions answered as possible from our wonderful community. And that community is definitely growing too, but we can fit you all on the Zoom, don't worry. And last but not least, join us on Discord. We're now, over 500? We're 600. How many do we have now?
I'm not sure the exact number, but we're getting close to 600. It's crazy. Like I don't go in the Discord for 2 hours and I can't even catch up. It's nuts.
But you know what? That's the great thing about it. It is a community. It's not just us. It is everybody. We got some OGs in there, guys who've been with us from the beginning, and some very smart people who will help answer your question. You can throw out polls and kind of get the feeling of what the community thinks. We have all sorts of stuff in there. So join the Discord, link down below in the description as well. And of course, if you like what you see, then hit the button that says like. That makes sense. And then subscribe, hit that notification bell. We go live 4 times a week. So if you want to catch us as soon as we go live or as soon as our videos drop, which again, we're multiple videos dropping every day, hit the notification bell. So right now, what we're going to do is try to answer all your lineup questions for week 5. You got start sit questions. And then we're going to do our best to give you our take and not just pick one and move on. We're going to give you our thoughts behind it and try to help you for week 5. First, before we do that, let's tell you guys you don't want to play because they're not playing. All right, these are the injured players. So let's start with the ones who are out or doubtful and almost sure not to play. So DeAndre Swift, once again, not too surprising. He's going to be out. Makes sense heading into their bye week. So no DeAndre Swift. Yeah, you're probably going to roll with Jamal Williams. Here's a good one. Rarely do we say injuries are good, but you know what? You might be glad to know that you don't have to worry about whether you start Kyle Pitts this week because he's not going to play. He didn't practice all week. He's out officially. If you drafted Kyle Pitts, you're definitely hurting, but we'll answer your tight end questions too. We don't hate tight ends. Not too much, right? All right, Keenan Allen. Also out again, extended absence. That hamstring still bothering him. Got to be worried about him at this point, but for now he is out. Rashad Bateman, we heard about that foot injury last week. Explains why he did absolutely nothing because he was hurt and he's not playing. Michael Thomas, again, trying to hide the shock on my face. Not playing because he's hurt. Treylon Burks is not just out, but he's on IR. So if you have Burks, you really, you might as well either stash him on IR or cut him because at this point, not much going to happen with him. Jahan Dotson, also promising rookie for Washington. Well, he is out, and they said it's 1 to 2 weeks. So you might be looking at another week without him, possibly into week 6. We'll see. But for now, definitely no Dotson. DJ Chark also going to miss for Detroit. So again, thin receiver core for them. New York Giants, speaking of thin receiving core, basically all of their top receivers are again out. Kadarius Toney, out. Was it both hamstrings of his? Is there any part of him that isn't broken at this point?
I don't know. Yeah, it's not even the same hamstring. Who knows? I feel like Kadarius Toney's like that kid who doesn't really want to be on the football team and like just makes excuse like, I think I tweaked my hamstring today. Like, I can't practice, coach. You know what I mean? Like the kid that tried to get out of PE, like you always try to get out of PE. Like, ooh, my mom said I sprained my ankle. I can't run the mile today. Like whatever. But I don't know. Who knows?
I kind of feel the same way. I mean, who knows at this point? But yeah, it's safe to say you shouldn't even worry about rostering him at this point. And the same goes for Kenny Golladay, who is out. Wan'Dale Robinson was hoping he might come back, but I guess he had a setback in practice, so he is also out. So once again, your top receiver for the Giants will be Richie James. And Dawson Knox for Buffalo is out. You also know Jamison Crowder is definitely out. He's on IR, also broke his ankle. So they're going to be a little thin. And when we get to the questionables, I'll talk about the rest of them. Cameron Brate, another tight end, he is out, which makes rookie Cade Otton the top tight end there, or Kyle Rudolph, who hasn't really made much of an appearance this year. And then at quarterback, Jameis Winston, thought he might go, but he is doubtful, and he didn't really practice. So, yeah, he's pretty much out, which is disappointing because that would have been a good matchup. And then, of course, Tua, for now, is out. Okay, that's just the outs. Let's talk about questionable. So we really don't know. You're going to have to check tomorrow morning for the latest updates. David Montgomery, still questionable, very much in play. He might play. He might be limited. So proceed with caution. Tyreek Hill, during the week, quad injury, very questionable. Sound like they might put him out there. But again, how efficient will he be? It's a great matchup with the Jets, but there's no Tua. So this is a very much kind of a risky situation here. And Jalen Waddle is also questionable. Yeah, just when things were looking so great for the Dolphins. Yeah, if we lose to the Jets. Okay. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's questionable, but Chris, am I understanding right? He looks like he will probably play, or is it still 50-50?
No, it seems like he's going to play and he'll be fine. So I think if you have Amon-Ra, you should be feeling good that he'll be back in your lineup and ready to go.
All right. And then Josh Reynolds is also questionable. But like I said, Chark is out. T. Higgins questionable. I have a feeling he will play. CeeDee Lamb, same thing. I think signs were trending towards he will be available against the Rams, but CeeDee Lamb is technically questionable. Jarvis Landry is also questionable. Catching passes from Andy Dalton is questionable enough already. Isaiah McKenzie, talking about Buffalo, he's in concussion protocol. It's kind of weird because he's still questionable. So I guess he's not out of the protocol yet, but they're saying he might be.
Yeah, it kind of feels like T. Higgins earlier in the year, right, where we didn't find out till like Sunday morning, like, oh, okay, he's cleared, he's ready to go. I mean, if you got McKenzie, you got to hope he goes because this is a great spot. No Dawson Knox. I mean, Gabe Davis, I think, is closer to 100% now, but still is a great spot. So if you got McKenzie, yeah, just probably have to wait till tomorrow morning to find out for sure.
Yeah, it's still risky. Now, Gabe Davis is not questionable. It sounds like he's better, but also not 100%. So Davis, you can fire him up. Julio Jones, questionable. And Zach Wilson, questionable, but it sounds like he will go. And then guys who are in and almost sure to play, Alvin Kamara sounds like he says he's back to normal, for what that's worth. Breece Hall had been questionable, but he's going to be good to go. Deontay Johnson also was limited in practice, but he's going to play. Hunter Renfrow missed 2 weeks with concussion, but he gets to play against the Chiefs. Could be a good spot for him. That's a sneaky start here if you've had Renfrow stashed. Zay Jones was also questionable, missed last week. He is going to play. Jacoby Myers is back. Just in time to catch passes from the third-string quarterback. And Daniel Jones is going to go. We thought the Giants might be pulling guys off the street to play quarterback. No, we're going to have to see Daniel Jones. It's a lot less fun. And I saved the best for last, Chris. Give me your thoughts here. Brian Robinson, definitely best news here that he is not only back off IR, but he might actually play. Sounds like he will play tomorrow and look good in practice too.
Yeah, that's great news. I obviously don't expect much from him, maybe 10 to 15 snaps probably. Maybe he'll get a couple carries, but it's good that he's already back out there, and from here it's just going to get ramped up. So you got to feel, if you've been stashing Brian Robinson, you got to be feeling good right now.
Yeah, look, I'll admit there's one league where I am throwing in my lineup. That's because my other choice would be Cam Akers. So,
wow. Well, you never know.
Come on.
Hey,
it's worth a
you
dice
never know.
Maybe
Ron Rivera, man, you never know. You might just throw him out there and give him 20 carries. You just don't know with Ron Rivera.
That's exactly right. We don't know with Ron Rivera. So we'll see. All right, guys, that is it. I know we'll have some questions about Robinson and others. Let's get to it. We got Super Chats lined up already. Let's first just start by saying thank you. First time catching us live. Hopefully not the last time. We're going to be here every week throughout the season.
Yeah.
All right, the first Super Chat is to Owen.
Ooh.
All right, right off the bat, here's a tough one. Breece Hall, Aaron Jones, and Ramondre.
It's tough because I like all these guys this week, but I think I've got to go Breece and Aaron Jones. I know I had Ramondre on the boom video, but Ramondre's more Brees, we could feel fairly confident after last week is going to be the guy. Aaron Jones, even though he's splitting with A.J. Dillon, still going to get plenty of work. We know what his usage is going to be. We can feel good about him. He's looked great. He has a great matchup. Ramondre has a great matchup here, and I think Ramondre will have a great game. But to me, out of these three, he's the riskiest. Like, they're all good plays, and he's the riskiest. So I'll just, not take on that risk with Ramondre, and I'll go Hall and Aaron Jones.
Yeah, when you have these tough choices, you kind of want to. All right, well, for running back, the first thing you should look at is volume. Who's going to get more touches, more likely? But then also, to some extent, you could say talent, because they're all talented. But who's really got that upside? Breece Hall he's got more upside / talent than all these guys. Ramondre, again, talk about the boom thing. Like, I have A.J. Dillon as a boom. If you guys watch that video, our running back booms, I had A.J. Dillon in there. Does that mean I think Aaron Jones will do nothing? No, it's still a timeshare. It's still 50-50.
Yeah.
So I can feel good about both these guys. I think it's okay. So I feel good about Aaron Jones because the matchup, they're going to run it a lot. And I feel really good about Breece Hall. So I'm going to go with those two also. And remember, when we say this guy could boom, this guy could be a good start, that's if you don't have someone who's better above them. Right. I'm not going to say
all three of those guys could boom, honestly. So
exactly. Michael Fawcett, good to see you guys. Good to see you again too. Michael was with us on Tuesday. A lot of chats and a lot of good questions. All right, so he wants an updated opinion on his flex for this week with Pitts out and Dotson out. London or Curtis Samuel? And we had this question before. Do you think London, someone in Discord asked, what do you think about London with Pitts out? Does that help him?
Maybe, but this team still doesn't throw the ball. Like, it's like, I think actually Young Money said he's going to get a 60% target share, but it's going to be like 60%, nine pass attempts. Ooh. It's not like the best matchup for London either. Against the Bucks right now. Maybe on the plus side, the Falcons have to throw the ball in this game because the Bucks are up like big late in the game and but even still, like, I gotta go Curtis Samuel. No Dotson, a great matchup for him this week. He's getting every week, even the weeks these last couple of weeks where he hasn't been great. He's getting the targets. He's getting the looks. I think this is a great week for Samuel. I'm going Curtis Samuel here.
I'm going Curtis Samuel too. And I think it was Young Money who was first in the comments. Yeah. Shout out for that. Young Money in some of the same leagues as us. So hopefully he's not using this information against us in those in-game leagues. But that's what I feel. Like, London, I don't think it's just a matter of target. It's definitely not a matter of target share with him. He's getting a ton of targets. If he's not doing anything, it's the offense, right? It's Marcus Mariota is not a prolific passer. And this is a terrible matchup. This is a really tough matchup. So I don't think Pitts being out really helps him. It might even hurt him because now the defense can just pay more attention to London because who else do they really have to pay attention to? No Pitts, no Cordero Patterson, Tampa Bay. Atlanta might score 6 points. That's what might happen.
Yeah.
So I would definitely go Curtis Samuel, especially like you said, no Dotson, that helps him.
Yep.
Big Luscious, also a frequent super chatter last week. Glad to have you back. Is it time to sell Pitman? Is it even selling high though?
That's what I was gonna say. You can't really sell a guy high. Unless you're talking about like Justin Jefferson, Jamar, like Taylor, like absolute best of the best. You can't really sell a guy high coming off of 2 down games because nobody's high on him anymore, right? And look. The problem for Pitman, it's not like this game was during Sunday and people just kind of like, oh, Pitman only scored, 11 fantasy points and only had like 4 catches. No, everybody saw this game. Everybody saw how bad Matt Ryan and the Colts looked. Like, nobody is high on any Colts player right now, right? No, except maybe Alec Pierce because he surprised people. So no, you can't sell Pitman high right now. If somebody's like, I still think Pittman's going to be great. I talked about it a little bit in the Discord. I thought Matt Ryan's ball placement was great on a lot of his throws. Yes, Matt Ryan spends too much time in the pocket, is under a ton of pressure, but when he has time to throw, his ball placement is still really, really good. There was a couple throws to Pitman where the defender knocked it away at the last second. Could have been catches. Then I thought Matt Ryan's ball placement on those was just outstanding. So I still believe in Pitman, and you can't really trade him right now because no one's going to buy him high right now. So I think you gotta hold. And his schedule gets really, really good now. It gets really good. That's the other thing. That was a tough matchup against the Broncos. So.
Right. No, you're not selling high. If anything, we've had a lot of questions on Tuesday about people, wanting to buy low or saying like, what do you do with Pittman? Do I cut him? And like, no, yeah, you're not selling high right now.
Cut him for Alec Pierce. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Drop him for Alec Pierce. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, unfortunately, we saw that game on Thursday. But here's another question related to that. Russell Wilson, a lot of talk about him. Do you pick up Trevor Lawrence, I guess, to replace Russell? Because you can't drop him. I mean, you kind of could, but you can't start him.
I think you can. I think in a 1 QB league, you can drop Russell Wilson. I really think you can. Like, who's going to pick up Russell Wilson right now? Like, no one's going to grab Russell Wilson. And now we just got word that he's dealing with some kind of injury to his lat in his back, and he went and got an injection. And it's the injury that caused Dak to take like 2 weeks off of camp to rest, and he's going to try to play through it. So it's not like things are looking better for Russell Wilson. So yeah, you can definitely drop Russell Wilson and pick up Trevor Lawrence next week. I'm completely fine. Or any other quarterback that might be on your waiver who has a great matchup next week. I'm totally okay with that.
And talk about Latavius Murray. You don't need to have Latavius Murray either. I mean, even if he does surpass Mike Boone for the RB2 on Denver, like what is that even worth? So
even if he becomes the RB1, like.
Yeah, exactly.
What is like everybody thought they won the lottery with Melvin Gordon. The guy, like, this offense isn't gonna support a elite running back, especially one that's like old like Melvin Gordon or Latavius Murray. No.
Jason, what is up? Jason, also loyal in-game member. All right, so what's up? Pick one receiver: Metcalf, Ayuk, or Dobbs, and then pick either Monte or CEH. I mean, I think it's got to be CEH because Monte's very questionable.
Yeah, I'll play it safe here, but CEH in a great spot this week, and he's been awesome. So definitely CEH. I'm going to go Dobbs with the wide receiver. Metcalf in a tough matchup. I know he's coming off 2 nice games, but man, those are 2 terrible defenses. This is a tough defense. I'm not buying into Geno Smith being like some elite quarterback this year. I think this is the week where everybody goes like, oh, remember like Carson Wentz was this elite quarterback, and then he played a real defense. Everybody's like, oh yeah, that's right. I think that's what we're going to get with Geno Smith this week. And Ayuk is fine, but really he's like touchdown or bust in this matchup to me. So I'm gonna go Dobbs actually.
It's close. It's close for all these. Look, with Dobbs, the thing is he's not a bad play, but I really feel that's a game. It's going to be a low. I mean, we know it's going to be a slow-paced game because the Packers are one of the slowest, if not the slowest paced teams in the league. They're going to run it a lot. Giants are not putting up much of a fight on offense on the other side. I don't feel like we're going to see a prolific passing effort from Green Bay. It's sort of between Metcalf and Ayuk for me, and I know Ayuk has kind of a better matchup, but he's just not getting a ton of targets right now. So I think I kind of feel better about Metcalf, even though he has the toughest. And I agree with everything you said. Look, Geno Smith, think about it. We're overreacting to Geno Smith playing Detroit. You just played Detroit. Detroit is the worst defense statistically right now in the league. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. But yeah, I still think I feel okay. I don't love any of these guys, so I think I'd go with Metcalf. But
not only that, it wasn't like Geno Smith threw for 400 yards and he threw for like 350 and 2, which is a great game. I'm not taking anything away from him. But Matt Ryan did that the week before, and everybody's like, he's awful. So it's not like Geno Smith went out there against the Lions and, put up Tua numbers or something crazy. Like he just had like a good game, and now everybody's like, oh. So yeah, I don't know. I'm worried that this is going to be week 1, week 2 Metcalf again. We're going to see what that Metcalf again. So
yeah, I mean, it's all about expectations. Everyone expected Geno Smith to go out there and like throw 3 interceptions every game, and so now he actually had a good game. It's like, oh my god, MVP.
Yes. Yes.
Gallup or Devante Smith? Let's do that one first.
I can definitely go Devante Smith here. Still not quite ready. It wasn't like Gallup played every snap last week. I know he had the touchdown. That's nice to see. But he's still, kind of being eased in, and Smith is in a great spot against the Cardinals, so I can easily go him.
Yeah, definitely Devante Smith. I like Devante Smith quite a bit this week. Gallup is still risky and going against the Rams. And by the way, just know his name here is Shrek and Fiona. So you got to go with the green. Go with the team in green, right? Devante Smith, and then Raheem or Chase Edmonds. Ugh.
I mean, I want to go Raheem Mostert because I chase the guy getting the most touches and the most snaps. I know Edmonds has the touchdown upside, but that's really all he has. It's like touchdown upside, right? Like Edmonds has to score. At least Mostert, gives you somewhat of a floor. Whereas if Edmonds doesn't score, he's gonna get you almost nothing. So I'm gonna go Mostert.
Yeah. Right now he's getting more touches. I guess go Mostert.
Yeah.
All right, Little Gene, would you trade Mixon for Robinson and Godwin?
Oh,
That's
man,
tough.
this is tough. I think if it was full PPR to do it for sure. I do think half PPR hurts Godwin a little bit because he's not a guy who he's not like Mike Evans, right? He's not a guy you can count on to score 2 touchdowns, or have 5 catches for, 80 yards. Like he's a guy who's going to catch 6 or 7 passes and then maybe get 70, 80 yards, right? And maybe he gets a touchdown. He's not. And I'm still a little, I'm starting to get a little nervous about James Robinson. There's some signs that James Robinson is not very good. I saw, what was the stat? He leads the league in rushing attempts that have gone for 1 yard or less this year. He leads every running back, every single running back. And you know who's second? Sorry, Pierre, but it's Cam Akers. It's the 2 Achilles guys. So I'm starting to get a little nervous. We might see less and less of James Robinson as the season goes on. So I think I'm going to keep Mixon here.
This is tough. If you had thought about this before the season and asked me, I'd say you're crazy. There's no way. Easily Mixon. Right. Didn't expect Godwin to really be looking as good as he did at this point in the season. He really looks like he's back fully. And if so, that's the thing. You're getting a guy who's potentially wide receiver 1, even with Mike Evans on the field. And then Robinson, I mean, he's still getting the ball. I get it. He's not the most efficient back, but it doesn't matter. If he's getting the ball 20 times a game, he's a solid RB2 with touchdown upside every week. So that's the thing, is you're getting 2 really good starters for 1. I would say it depends on, your team needs. If you really could use that stud receiver, I don't mind doing this trade, but
yeah, it's very close. It's very close.
It is really close. Yeah.
It's a very fair offer for Joe Mixon, no doubt.
All right. Another Russ Wilson question. Should I drop Russ Wilson for Kirk Cousins?
Who just cut? Well, you can't. I assume you already played Russell Wilson this week. I mean, if you for some reason didn't play Russell Wilson and you could start Kirk Cousins this week, I would absolutely do that because I love Kirk Cousins this week. But do we know who the Vikings play next week? Because that's what I'm thinking here, right? You're picking up Kirk Cousins for next week.
Well, even if you didn't play Russell Wilson in some leagues, you might not be able to drop him because he did already play.
That's true.
I mean? So
next week Cousins gets Miami, and I would feel very good about Cousins against that secondary. So yes, I would drop Russell Wilson for Kirk Cousins. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll just say real quick because I'm looking at it. After that game, Kirk Cousins does have his bye week, so you're only going to really have him for 1 week, and then you're going to have to drop him again, probably.
Yeah, I was going to say, even if Cousins has his bye next week, you could just do this just to get rid of Russell Wilson. No. I mean, look, if you can get Cousins, is Cousins going to outscore Wilson by the end of the season? Yeah, it looks like that's definitely going to happen at this rate. And not just that Russell was bad enough, he's looked bad. Now he's got this shoulder injection, and now all of a sudden these injuries start mysteriously cropping up, even though he never looked injured at all in any game. We never heard about this before. So who knows? I mean, I'm not reactionary. I'm not going to say, oh, drop this guy because he had a bad game or ditch this guy. But I'm ready to jump ship on Russ Wilson if I had him.
Oh, yeah.
Rob Laura wants to know, would you trade Gabe Davis for Breece Hall?
If you're getting Breece Hall, yes, definitely.
Easily. You're getting a guy who, well, even if you don't think that Breece Hall is potential RB1, league winning, whatever, at the very least, he's like an every week RB2 solid start. Is Gabe Davis ever going to be an every week wide receiver 1?
No. Gabe Davis is like a wide receiver 3 that you put in there who has enormous weekly upside, but can also, tank your lineup, right? Like that's just who he is. So
Yeah, this feels like a good buy low on Brees Hall. This is the kind of move we definitely advise making.
definitely.
All right, Jason again wants to know, would you drop Jimmy G for Goff, Carr, or Geno Smith the rest of the season? Yeah, I think you could drop him for any of those guys, but who do you like the best?
I like Carr. Well, honestly, if those guys are on waivers, I'm probably just playing the matchups, but most weeks I'm probably going to prefer Carr. Although I will say Goff does have a lot of really good matchups this year. So, yeah. But this week especially, I would drop Jimmy G for Carr because Carr should go off this week against Kansas City.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'd drop him for any of those guys. Like, we're not fully buying in the Geno Smith thing. It's a nice story. It's nice for right now. But, yeah, Carr is a guy, I was huge on in the preseason. I still think, especially if he goes off against Kansas City, which he always does. Like he always monster games. I'm not saying a 300-yard game. I think we could look at 400 yards here.
Yes.
Monster games. And so I think he'll be fine. They're still passing the ball a ton. Their defense is terrible. Goff has looked pretty good, not going to lie. And I think, Chris, you're right. The schedule might favor him. I mean, he's playing in that North Division. So he's going to get to play Chicago and Minnesota. But I would go with rest of the season. You're just asking me right now. I'd go Carr.
Yes, me too.
All right, Longman 18. What should I change? Lawrence at QB, Adams, Godwin at wide receiver, Cook, Dobbins at running back, Kittle at tight end, Waddle and Kirk at the flex. Got Najee and Wilson Jr. and Goff. Guessing Goff. I mean,
I still go Lawrence over Goff this week. I don't really love Goff's matchup. It's not the best, and like the Patriots' defense isn't crazy good, but it's much better than Seattle's that we saw last week. And I think it's just going to be like a slow. Like you talked about that Green Bay game. New England's just going to try to run the ball as much as they can, right? They got Billy Zappi starting at quarterback apparently, so this isn't going to be a shootout. So I like Lawrence, definitely Adams and Godwin. I can't bench Najee for Dobbins. I can't do it. I know it's a brutal matchup, and I know he's been bad. I can't do it. I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to put Najee in for Dobbins.
That's the question, is Najee, right? Like, what do you do? A lot of people worried about him, of course, and then going at the road against Buffalo. Well, let me ask you this, though. Maybe this resolves itself because Waddle is questionable. And then even besides that, you got Teddy B here. Do you consider flexing Najee instead of Waddle?
No, I still like Waddle. I think Teddy B is the type of quarterback that can get the ball in Waddle's hands, and then let him do his thing. So I still like him. I almost feel like I would play Wilson over Dobbins too. Like if you're really, really worried about that, because what's the difference between Wilson? I know Dobbins got some receptions last week, but maybe with Bateman out, he gets receptions again. But really, what's the difference between Wilson and Dobbins? Right? They're not prolific pass catching type of backs, not prolific offenses are going to throw in the ball. And I think Wilson's healthy, and Wilson's actually looked pretty good. So I'm going Najee, or if you're too scared of the matchup and Kenny Pickett going out there and the Steelers only getting 100 total yards in this game because Kenny Pickett, is like throwing picks and getting sacked and fumbling the ball and looking worse than, that Thursday night game, then I think I'd still go Wilson over Dobbins too.
All right. Look, I'm not really any higher on Dobbins than you are. The only thing this week, I think they really might lean on Dobbins more because Rashad Bateman is out, but also Justice Hill, who is looking really good. He's been their kind of speed back. He's out too. I didn't mention that because really nobody's starting Justice Hill. But they're hurting. We could see a lot of Dobbins this week, and he's always got that touchdown upside. So I feel better about Dobbins than Wilson for sure. Better than Najee? Maybe this week. Yeah, I think I actually do. So honestly, Longman, I would probably keep your lineup as it is. If you hear that Waddle is limited or doesn't play, last minute scratch, then you can swap him out for Najee. But yeah, that's the question there, is that last kind of spot there running back. Henry Odom, always with us each weekend. Appreciate it, Henry. So he traded Sutton and Schultz for, hoping that's Jamal Williams.
I'm hoping it's Jamal Williams too, but I'm really hoping it's not, because I'm hoping you didn't trade Sutton and Schultz for Jamal Williams and Pitts. But okay.
Okay, so he's got Hurts, Pittman, St. Brown, Cooks. That's pretty good. Gabe Davis, Swift, Pierce, Fournette, Stevenson, White, and Njoku. So maybe he traded for Jamal because he had Swift already.
Yeah, maybe, but man, I don't like giving up Sutton for my handcuff.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully Pitts eventually gets on the field and actually gets targeted and actually does something. Maybe it's going to take Desmond Ridder for it to happen. Who knows? But I'm just not a fan of trading a really good wide receiver for a handcuffed running back. So I don't know if there's a question here, but that's just my take on this.
Yeah, I don't love this trade because I guess the main thing you're looking at here is, did you get a big upgrade at tight end? No, because Pitts has sucked 3 out of 4 weeks and now he's hurt. I mean, Schultz, I know he's done nothing, but he's been hurt also. In 2 weeks, we could see Schultz that we were expecting to see, where he's going to get a ton of targets. He'll be healthy. Dak will be back. The Cowboys schedule has been tough lately, but it will get easier. So there really might not even be a big difference between Pitts and Schultz rest of season. And then, like you said, in 2 weeks, Jamal Williams might just – well, even next week, Jamal Williams is not playing because he had a bye week. And then the week after that, Swift comes back. So you kind of almost gave up Sutton just to give up Sutton. So,
yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. All right, G.
Only start one?
Just G. Amon-Ra, Lockett, Dobbins, Gallup, Dillon.
I mean, assuming it's not non-PPR. If it's non-PPR, if it's standard scoring, I'll go Dillon. But assuming it's not, I'm going Amon-Ra. Got to go Amon-Ra.
It's so hard to sit Amon-Ra, right?
Yeah, can't bench him.
Yeah, if Amon-Ra, again, he's questionable. Been limited, obviously, in this last week. So check the injury status here. If Amon-Ra is a full go, you put him in your lineup.
Yeah.
If he's iffy or you don't know, or even if there's non-PPR, then yeah, you can go Dillon. And then Chuster Woo, thank you for the super chat. Gonna see if there's a question either before or after here.
I'm trying to see what it is. That
oh wait, I see it.
Is that Chevy Chase from Fletch? Is that what his icon is?
You know what? I think it is with the Lakers jersey.
Is that what it is? That's funny.
That's a classic movie. All right. So Chuster was asking Singletary or Stevenson. I think we know this one.
I can definitely. I know Singletary's been involved and he's catching passes, which is great to see. But I got to go Stevenson in this matchup against the
Definitely got to go Stevenson. I mean, getting Detroit, that's a really good spot. Yeah. And with that third string quarterback who's a rookie, you'd think they're going to run the ball a lot. And Stevenson could catch more passes than usual if they're dumping it off. And then Waddle or Davis. That one's interesting because we don't know how healthy either guy is.
Yeah, I think if Waddle plays, I still got to play him. Like I said, I don't think Teddy B is going to really kill Waddle. Like we've seen Teddy B in the past. He's good enough to get the ball in his hands, like I said. So I think I go Stevenson and Waddle. Obviously, if they say something in the morning like he's going to test it, he might be limited, then just go Gabe Davis.
Yeah. Teddy B, he's not a world beater. He's maybe never going to take a team to the Super Bowl. He's not going to take your fantasy team to a championship on his own, but he's a quality NFL quarterback. He has won games. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He can support a receiver or two. So I think, especially Waddle might get a boost here. What if Tyreek Hill doesn't go, or if he's the one who seems to be more injured? That's kind of the impression we're getting. So we could see more Waddle. And this is the Jets. That's a pretty good matchup. All right, Johnny, always with us. Thank you, Johnny. If Sun God is out, which is possible, Olave, Samuel Pickens, or Khalil Herbert?
I mean, I know Winston isn't playing, or they haven't officially ruled him out, but he's pretty much not playing. We can assume. I think they already announced Andy Dalton the starter, but haven't ruled Winston out. So I don't know what that's all about. But anyways, with Andy Dalton, I still go Olave here. I wish it was Winston because this is such another week that would be such a smash spot for Olave, especially with no MT. But look, Dalton was good enough for him last week. Nothing to be scared about in this matchup. I do like Samuel a lot. I just like the upside of Olave a little more.
Yeah, these are all interesting because they all actually have a large degree of upside here, and there's a ceiling for them all. But like with Herbert, like Monty is still questionable and might play, might not. But even last week, it should have been just a smash spot for Herbert. He was fine, but not amazing. And he doesn't catch passes. So assuming this is at least half, if not full PPR, that's a much lower floor. And then Pickens, I threw him in a DFS lineup. Am I throwing him in a regular redraft lineup? No. And then Curtis Samuel, I feel pretty good about this week. But Olave, we saw even last week with Andy Dalton. I mean, Michael Thomas is still out, so I agree. No, Sun God plays, you play the Sun God, of course.
Yeah.
You never doubt the Sun God.
No.
Never again.
Only doubt the Sun God when we put him on a thumbnail and an hour later he gets ruled out. That's the only time.
Yeah.
But come on.
It's because, what is it that Austin said? Something about because he knew that we doubted him earlier or something?
Yeah, exactly. That was like his middle finger to us.
All right, so PPR flex, Zay Jones, who is playing, Gabe Davis, MVS, or Zeke.
So here I can definitely go Gabe Davis. I mean, I like Zay Jones. He's fine. MVS never. Zeke, no, come on. I don't know what we're even expecting from Zeke at this point. I'll shoot for the upside of Gabe Davis here. It's a great matchup. It sounds like he's looking better in practice, closer to 100%. I'm going to go Gabe Davis.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Gabe Davis. Look, Zay Jones is interesting because, he's been getting a good amount of targets, and it is a great matchup with Houston. But Gabe Davis, also, it's really not a bad matchup. That Pittsburgh defense kind of hurting, so I'll go Gabe Davis. And then Jason, back for more. Amari Cooper or Curtis Samuel? That's an interesting one.
I still got to go Cooper. I know it was a down week last week, but if you remember, like week 1, he did nothing. Everybody's like, oh, see, can't start Amari Cooper. He's got Jacoby Brissett, and then he goes off for 2 weeks. It's just how football goes, right? You can't, unless your name is Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford is dumping the ball off to you 20 times a game, you can't go off every week. You're going to have some down weeks. So I do like Samuel this week, but I like Cooper a lot too. And there's some squeaky wheel. There was some squeaky wheel this week, like Jacoby Brissett saying we can't, Amari Cooper can't only have one target. That just can't happen. I know this is a game where they could just run the ball a ton because they can't stop the run, but I still got to go Cooper here.
Yeah, and there's one thing that also, when I mentioned, we talk about this all the time. You look at matchup in terms of the defense, and so Curtis Samuel definitely has the better matchup. Going against Tennessee, it's bad secondary. We mentioned this on the wide receiver starts with Cleveland facing the Chargers. J.C. Jackson is back. J.C. Jackson's a stud, right? And then this Chargers defense is better. But you also have to think of game script. Who is probably in store to get more targets? Is Cleveland going to be able to just sit back and run? Or are they going to have to pass to keep up with the Chargers? There's a good chance that they do have to do that. So I think I can see Cooper getting a ton of targets. I like Samuel this week, but I'm going to go Cooper also. All right, Michael Casadas. Here's his team. Got Carr, Diggs, Olave, Barkley, Robinson, Njoku, Kamara. On the bench, Thielen, Brian Robinson, Pittman. Oh, so he didn't start Pittman this week, huh? All right, Goff and Montgomery. Where to improve? I guess he's thinking trades, not just lineup, right?
I mean, like a lot of teams, the place I can see really improving here is tight end. I mean, your running backs are pretty good. You got Barkley, you got James Robinson, you got Kamara, who I think will be fine. You got Monty, who I really like. I mean, you got Pitman on your bench, so you're okay at wide receiver when you got Pitman on your bench. It's just tight end, but the problem is, how do you upgrade at tight? The only way you can upgrade at tight end really is to trade for Kelsey or Andrews, and the only way you're trading for one of those guys is to give up a stud, right? No one's going to give you Pitts has no value right now, and Njoku is whatever, he's fine. It's gonna be really hard to get one of those guys, right? It just is. You're not, unless you're going to give up, a really good wide receiver or running back or something. So I don't really see much else. This team looks really good to me, other than tight end, of course, but lots of teams are in that position.
This is a pretty balanced team. It's good, but actually one thing that stood out to me is you're pretty deep at running back, because you think about it, you got Barkley, right? Set and forget, you have a stud. You have 3 guys who could be your RB2 any given week. James Robinson, you could just leave in there pretty much. Kamara, if he's healthy, he plays, and he should be a stud, but at least he should be solid. I don't think he's going to be RB1 this year. And then Montgomery, when he's healthy, you can put him in there most weeks. I would say if either James Robinson or Alvin Kamara have a big week this week, you could try to trade one of them to either hopefully package with Pitts to get a Kelsey or Andrews, maybe.
Yeah.
Or package with somebody to get a better wide receiver. You could do that to upgrade there. But because you don't need all 4 of those running backs, you can get by with, mixing and matching. That's something you might consider doing. Tyler, about time. We're used to you being first. All right. As a Pats fan, I'm sorry. I wish I didn't know that about you now. How does my game go versus the Lions?
Probably
Who is
boring and ugly, is my guess. Boring and ugly, low scoring, slow. That's my guess. Probably not as bad as Thursday night because I'm guessing there will be at least 1 touchdown in this game. But it's probably going to be low scoring, slow, ugly. And I think really the only startable players is Jamal and Jamal Goff to some degree and Amon-Ra, honestly. And maybe Josh Reynolds and Hawkinson, of course. Wow, all the Lions. Who would have thought? Who would have thought all the Lions?
I mean, as bad as the Lions defense has been, it's not like the Pats are going to put up a ton of points here with Zappe. I think this game is going to be all about the running backs. Damian Harris and Ramondre are both startable.
Yeah, they're startable.
And then Jamal Williams, I think, gets a ton of touches again because they're still hurting with Chark is out. Reynolds is questionable. Sun God, questionable. I mean, maybe he plays, but I think it's just going to be – and Hawkinson is questionable too, I think. I don't know if I even mentioned that. I think it's just going to be a pretty low-scoring game. I think the running backs are really going to get the majority of the touches. So they're definitely all startable.
Yeah.
RJ and Colo wants to know Olave, Christian Kirk, or Curtis Samuel?
I think you got to go Christian Kirk. Again, can't just write guys off after 1 bad game. It happens to everybody. It happens multiple times a season to everybody. So I like Kirk a lot this week. He's in a great spot. He's still got 9 targets last week. He's Trevor Lawrence's guy. I'm going Kirk.
Look, last week they played, I believe, the lone undefeated team in Philadelphia. It was a great defense. This week they get Houston. Yeah. I think it's a get right spot. I think you got to go with Kirk. Ron Rug wants to know between 2, AJ, Sanders, Ramondre, Herbert.
Well, man, I think even if no Montgomery, I still go Dylan and Ramondre. Although if there's no Montgomery, I can talk myself into any 4 of these guys, honestly. Sanders are riskiest because it just seems like, he had that big game last week, and then everybody's like, he's gonna have a big game this week, and then that's when he disappears, right? And the weather's should be fine this week. They're in Arizona. It's not like there's gonna be terrible weather like last week. They should have no problem, throwing the ball. So I'm going to go AJ and Ramondre. Even if Montgomery sits, I'm still going AJ and Ramondre.
I mean, that's what my boom pick, your boom pick. I mean, we like these guys for a reason. I definitely like Dylan, you know that. And I just finished talking about that game. I think Patriots run the ball a ton. I like Ramondre. Sanders, I mean, you should say he has the highest upside, but who knows with him? And look, if Arizona actually does something on offense, Philly might not be able to sit back and run it as much. So we'll go AJ and Ramondre. And to me, I don't think I would put Herbert over any of those guys, even if Montgomery doesn't play. Ronnie Santana wants to know Flex 1, Najee, Palmer, Devante, and then the defense question. Man, is Najee that far down?
I can't sit Najee for those guys. I just can't. Definitely not Parker with Zappe. And Palmer, I mean, yeah, he had a nice game there, week 3 or whatever week it was without Keenan Allen. But then last week, barely involved. I think it's going to be a big Mike Williams week. He's in a great spot this week. I think it's going to be like last week, where it's another big Mike Williams game. So I still got to go Najee.
Definitely Najee. Palmer is actually questionable too. I think he's going to play. And I get the Keenan's out, but no, he's at this point, you still go with Najee. And then at defense, he wants to know Tennessee, Jets, or Chargers.
It's like I want to say Chargers.
I'm going to say Chargers.
Yeah, I just know Joey Bosa. That defense just hasn't been the same. I mean, even last week against Houston, yeah, Davis Mills, they got some sacks, they got some turnovers because it's Davis Mills. But I still think I got to go Chargers. I do. I got to go Chargers. I mean, if it was Joey Bosa, it'd be like no. If Joey Bosa was healthy, it'd be like no brainer Chargers. But I still think I go Chargers.
Yeah, because the thing with the Jets, Miami, Teddy Bridgewater's not a turnover machine typically. In fact, that's the knock against him. He's too conservative, right? Too safe. Doesn't force the ball in. So I don't expect the Jets to have this big game on defense ever. And then Tennessee's defense is just not that good, period. So Johnny has another question. Jones and Pierce starting. Would you swap Brian Robinson? No. Definitely not for those guys.
I hope like when we do our Sunday night reaction video or show, we're talking about like, oh my God, Brian Robinson, oh my God, every week must start. But I'd rather be in that position than put him in my lineup and watch him get like 2 carries. You know what I mean? And you have two really good running backs. So no.
Yeah, it's too early. I mean, look, be glad that you have Brian Robinson on your team. But no, and you got 2 really good running backs. There's no need to swap either of those guys out. I mean, it's not worth it. All right, JP wants to know Brandon Cooks, Thielen, Curtis Samuel, Kareem Hunt, pick 2.
I'm starting to come around more and more on Hunt this week because 2 things. Well, a few things. Number 1, the Chargers' run defense is terrible. Number 2, they give up the most big running plays of any defense in the league. So even a guy as talented as Kareem Hunt getting 10 to 12 carries should still be able to put up a decent yardage game. And number 3, kind of what you were talking about earlier with Amari Cooper, they're not just going to be able to run the ball 35, 40 times. They might have to be throwing a lot in this game, and that benefits Kareem Hunt. So, but I also really like Curtis Samuel. I don't think I can start
the Bears.
But yeah.
And Cook's got the Jaguars.
I know. I can't start him. I got to go Cooks and Samuel, but I will say I do like Hunt a lot this week, but I just feel better about Cooks and Samuel.
I'm still trying to get over last week. Hunt let us down. We were both so high on Kareem Hunt. This is the Falcons, and he looked like he was going to get a touchdown. I remember watching. They were inside the 5-yard line. They gave him the ball, and then he got stopped. And then Jacoby Brissett took it himself. But look, these are all pretty good choices. I'm actually going to say no. I'll scratch off Thielen because it's the Bears. They're really not going to need to pass the ball 40 times.
That's the problem.
I don't think I would go with him in full PPR over those guys. I like Samuel this week. I'm going to go Samuel, and I'm probably not just because I feel like I was burned by him last week, but Hunt. But I'm going to go Cooks. I'm going to go Cooks and Samuel. But I can see starting Hunt.
Yeah, I could see Hunt being the highest scorer out of this group, but
yeah,
I could see the path.
All right, Tyler wants to know AJ Dillon or Damian Harris.
Oh man. This feels like I'm going to give a slight edge to Dillon only because Dillon, I feel good, will catch, a few passes. But they're both in great spots. They're both they're both in somewhat of a timeshare. Also, it doesn't even matter. Plus, the Packers probably going to give Dillon more chances to score than Damian Harris might have. So, get a slight edge to Dillon.
And that's the thing. Like you said, Dillon does catch passes. Harris barely does. This would be closer if it was Ramondre or Dillon. But also the thing is, I feel better about the Packers' chance of scoring a touchdown. Patriots, who knows, right, with a third-string quarterback, how much they'll even get in the red zone. So, give the edge to Dillon. The thing with Damian Harris, he's always dangerous because he does break those big runs on his own. It's Detroit, but both are pretty good choices. But I'd say if it's full PPR, give the edge to Dillon. Rye Raps got Swift, Waddle for Demont, Hawk, and K. Allen. Is that good? You got Swift and Waddle for those 3 guys? I think that's very good.
I'd say that's very good. You got a running back upgrade, you got a wide receiver upgrade, and you gave away a tight end who probably just scored like 25% of his fantasy points in one game for the whole season. So, yeah, that's good.
And if you're giving away Hawk and you didn't get a tight end in return, you probably have somebody who's just fine. I'm guessing, even if you have to stream, I mean, it's probably not the worst thing. What is Keenan Allen really going to do the rest of the season if he's healthy? I mean, it looks like he might be toast.
Yeah, no, that's a good deal. I like that deal a lot for you.
All right, Steven, back with us again. Also loyal Endgame community super chat. Najee, Herbert, Fournette, D. Harris, which two to start this week?
All right, so this is a time where I can bench Najee because you have some good options. I think you have to start Fournette. It's a good matchup, and not only that, talked about it. I think the Bucs could just be up big in this game, and they're just running the ball to Fournette, for the most of the second half, and he's just picking up like 5-6 yards every time he's touching the ball. Now, I will say between Herbert and Damian Harris, it comes down to Montgomery for me. If Montgomery is out, I probably give the slight edge to Herbert. Even though Harris is going against the Lions, Herbert's still like I'm not at all scared of the Vikings run defense against Herbert. But if Montgomery plays, then I go Harris.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Of those four, I mean, definitely Fournette. Like we still have, I think, if in our running back start sit, which if you guys watch, I hope you do watch. If you're watching this show, you're probably watching our start sit videos. We still say Leonard Fournette must start. I mean, there's really nobody you're going to have that should have more upside than him on a weekly basis. Is he going to smash every single week? Of course not. Name a running back who has. I mean, even Saquon Barkley, number one running back, he had that bad game in week 2. Okay, so Fournette, you have to start, especially this week. And then to me, just talked about Harris. I like Harris. I think I might like Harris better even if Montgomery doesn't play. So I would go those two. All right, Chris, this one is for you. Your guys. This is a trade. Big Luscious. He says he just sold on Pittman. He gave him Breece Hall. How do you feel about that?
I can't be mad about that trade, honestly. I can't be mad about that. I mean, the thing is, I like Pittman a lot. I think Pittman will be great. But there's like a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but there's other wide receivers who, like guys like Sutton, guys like Mike Williams, guys like that, who probably other guys I can't think of right now, who are kind of like all in that same range of like really high upside weekly wide receivers who are really good. The potential, if Breece Hall does what we think Breece Hall is going to do down the stretch, that you can't find that. Like you can't, like that, like people aren't trading that. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, like if you're going to trade Pittman, I think that's a good deal. That's a good deal.
Yeah, because again, at the end of the year, I mean, what's going to be more important, a guy who's a top 10 running back or a receiver?
Yeah,
go with the running back. Given this landscape, I think that's a good deal. All right, so Elantre, thank you for the super chat, and the question is, one we didn't think that we're going to be asking: George Kittle or the Friar Goat?
Man. I'd actually feel better about Freiermuth if Trubisky was playing. I mean, I know Pickens targeted them a lot, but I'm just worried. Like I said, this is going to be a game where the Steelers have like 100 yards of total offense or 150 yards of total offense because Kenny Pickett is just throwing interceptions, fumbling the ball, taking sacks. So I still got to go Kittle. I don't love it, but I still got to go Kittle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried that Pickett's going to be, just horrible, terrible. He might be. I'm not saying he won't be. But I'm just saying he'll still target Freiermuth a good amount, but I'm not giving up on Kittle. Like that, I think one thing for me personally, it's maybe this is my strength and my weakness is I'm patient. Sometimes I'm a little too patient on players, and it's not like I don't get stuck on the name by it's George Kittle. You have to start. No, but we don't want to overreact to one bad week or, he's slow coming back from injury or, they're using him to block. And it's only been 4 weeks, okay? And he didn't play the first couple games, all right? So let's wait and see, all right? That's the thing. I'm still going Kittle, but that might be a different answer next week. True. All right, Seth Music, Jeff Wilson or A.J. Dillon? I think this one's pretty straightforward.
Definitely go Dillon. Definitely Dillon for me.
Yeah, I love Dylan this week, guys. If you didn't check out the booms, and by the way, this week we started doing 2 boom videos, one for running backs, one for wide receivers, so we can get a little deeper. We've had some requests to go a little deeper in our matchups, and I did mention this in one of the comments because people, I guess some people really want to know those deep options. Maybe you're a really competitive league or deep. Look, bye week start next week. You're going to have to get deeper.
Yep.
It's going to happen, right?
Yep.
Injuries are happening, but bye week start, we're going to have no choice. So don't worry about that. We always got
to. Yeah, it's just hard to get deep on the booms because then you're kind of like you're almost getting it like you're almost doing like a sleepers video, right? It's like,
yeah. All right. So Steven, once again, he wants to know Mahomes, Jefferson for Allen and Adams. Wow. Okay, he's trading of the studs, basically.
I'm keeping Mahomes and Jefferson. I do think Allen will be better than Mahomes this year, but I think Mahomes will be good enough. But I think Adams will be great some weeks, but I think other weeks, like we've seen, he'll just be good, right? Because he's got Derek Carr. And Derek Carr is fine, but there's going to be matchups where Devante Adams, you're like, that wasn't that great. Whereas Jefferson's I still think Jefferson, I mean, maybe not, maybe he won't be the wide receiver 1 because Cooper Kupp is going to catch 170 passes, something ridiculous at this rate. But he's going to be like the wide receiver 2, and he's going to be awesome. And I don't think the drop off from Allen to Mahomes is huge. So I'm keeping Mahomes and Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like it doesn't really benefit anyone, right? I mean, you're trading the number 1 quarterback, the number 2 quarterback, and then the number 1 receiver for number 2, I guess, receiver. I mean, Jamar Chase not up there anymore. Here's the thing: is Justin Jefferson, aside from Cooper Kupp, like you said, should probably be the number 1 or number 2 receiver. And I'm double checking. I thought I remembered, and I'm right, that the Vikings have a great schedule down the stretch during the playoffs, fantasy playoffs. So week 13 gets the Jets, week 14 gets the Lions, week 15 gets the Colts, which have been a not very good defense, and then it gets the Giants again. I mean, it's a good playoff schedule for the Vikings. So you want to keep Jefferson in there. Adams will be fine, but a little more up and down maybe. So I don't really see a need to do this.
Yeah.
Big crit. All right, he's got Herbert, Stevenson, Dillon, Jeff Wilson, Kupp, Davis, Kelsey, Khalil Herbert, Edmonds, Rashad, McKenzie. I have Hill. Would you trade for Mixon or Najee?
Not for your team, because the one thing I was thinking when I was reading this, my goodness, you have a lot of running backs. I mean, your wide receivers are Kupp, Gabriel Davis, and Isaiah McKenzie if you trade Tyreek Hill. I think this team needs Tyreek Hill more than it needs Mixon or Najee, right? Because you have a lot of running backs. So I'm keeping Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I guess, the time to trade low, buy low on Najee. That's not buying low. That's giving up your best receiver, your second best player. So Mixon, maybe. The thing is, I look and it's you don't have really a clear RB1, right? He's got plenty of guys who kind of mix and match. But I still think Hill is a better player fantasy-wise than Mixon. So no, I wouldn't do that either. All right, Mohammed wants to know, he's planning to trade Eckler and Pierce.
Yes. This is how you sell high on guys. A guy coming off 3 touchdowns, all of which I think were from 10 yards or further out. Good luck having that happen against the Texans, one of the worst run defenses. And a rookie who, by the way, if you watch that game, Darby, the Broncos' number 2 corner, who's really good, left that game and is now out for the season. And that's when Pierce started catching passes, because he started to go against the 3rd-string corner. Basically a rookie corner. I don't think he's really a rookie, but he might as well be a rookie corner, right? It's like a rookie wide receiver against a rookie corner. And you're getting Swift, which is an upgrade over Eckler, and Godwin, which is a huge upgrade over Pierce. Yes, definitely do that.
So this is, at first when I saw this, I saw Pierce real quick, and I thought Damian Pierce, and I was like, okay, you're trading Alec Pierce to get Godwin, and you're trading Eckler for Swift. Good job. This smart move. This is exactly what you do, like you said. And then, okay, so his question is then, who do you use flex? Pickens, Rashad, or Godwin? I mean, definitely Godwin this week.
Yeah, definitely.
And then
Godwin.
super flex spot, Zappy, Baker, or Godwin.
I'd probably go. Well, if you're flexing Godwin, you can't put him in your super flex spot. Although I would flex him over those quarterbacks, honestly.
I wouldn't play Baker. Baker's like my last choice out of all those guys.
I don't
honestly.
think I can play Zappy either, though.
I like Zappy better than I do. He gets to play Detroit at least, but
that's true. I guess Zappy.
What about Pickens? Do you think take a shot on Pickens?
That's the thing. Can I flex Rashad White or Pickens over Zappy? That's the question.
You got to start Godwin. I mean, that's just
no. You have to start Godwin. But now Godwin's going to be in your flex, right? So now you got to in your super flex. It's either Pickens, Rashad, or Zappy. I guess I go Zappy and hope he throws for a touchdown.
I guess so. I mean, it kind of depends on your scoring. We don't know. This is 4-point passing touchdown, 6-point passing touchdown, if you have any weird rules. But typically a quarterback's going to get you more upside, but typically your quarterback's not Bailey Zappi. So,
yeah, exactly.
All right. Just so you know, guys, we're 1 hour in. We are going to try to get to as many questions as possible. We are a little, I guess, behind, running about 30 minutes behind on the super chats. We're going to get to all of them. Promise you. This is also a good time to mention that if you don't get your question answered, well, you can do two things. Number one, become a patron. Patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. Link is down below. Click it, join, and you can see us tomorrow morning. Much smaller group, and we can answer all your questions about fantasy. Plus, you get weekly rankings, just updated them again, and a lot more extra stuff. Or you can just join the Discord and join the conversation, and we'll see how that goes, because we can answer questions in there at any time, and so can a lot of other people. So just a little reminder there. All right, let's continue getting to the super chats first. Daniel Chavez. PPR, RB2, Hall or Dillon? That's pretty tough.
But I think I got to give the slight edge to Hall. It's because, again, he looks like he's now the workhorse there. And he's catching a ton of passes too. So, yeah, I love Dillon this week, of course, but I give the slight edge to Hall.
And this goes back to what I said earlier. I love Dillon this week, and he's a boom pick, but that's not meaning I'm starting him over a stud running back. Hall owns the backfield. Dillon's still splitting time. So I got to go Hall too. And then London or McKenzie at the flex.
Yeah, this one's a little closer. Man, I know McKenzie's in a great spot, but I do kind of feel like Gabe Davis is closer to 100% than he's been in a while. I think it is going to be a big Gabe Davis game. And McKenzie can just disappear at times. Like, he can just have those games where he just completely disappears. But London in a tough spot. Man, this is really close.
Yeah, if
I'm going to go London. I'm going to trust the wide receiver one. Maybe they're in a negative game script, or they will be in a negative game script. Maybe Marcus Mariota actually has to throw the ball 30 times because they're losing so bad. I'm going to go London.
When in doubt, well, first of all, McKenzie's still questionable. I mean,
True.
We don't know if he's going to go. Just very risky. I wouldn't take the chance. And then when in doubt, chase the targets. Yeah. London should get a ton of targets. I'm not saying he'll do a lot with them, but I'm going to go with London. And by the way, guys, yes, we are doing the super chats. If you think that putting the same question up 38 times is going to make us answer, you are wrong. It is not. We're going to put you in timeout until you can behave. All right, Paul Jackson. Should I wait Najee out some more? If not, who are some viable targets to try and trade for? Thin and RB because he has Patterson. All right, so thoughts on that?
Kind of like what we were saying at Pitman. I mean, unless you can trade Najee for an upgrade, like Big Luscious traded Pitman for Breece Hall, which most times it's gonna be hard to do that because again, Najee's value is very low right now. Right? Everybody's seeing the same thing we're seeing. So everybody's seeing Najee Harris is being bad. The offense is bad. Now they have Kenny Pickett, who's bad. Everybody's seeing it. So it's you're gonna end up trading him for, Jeff Wilson or something, right? You know what I mean? Like somebody who's like not a significant upgrade over Najee Harris, and then who's going to lose his job in like a few weeks when Elijah Mitchell comes back, right? So that's the problem here. I think you just got to wait it out. Now, the good thing is I've talked about this. Yes, brutal matchup this week and Kenny Pickett. Another tough matchup next week and probably Kenny Pickett again. But then their schedule gets much, much easier after that. So I think if you can survive these next 2 weeks, you'll be okay.
I hate to say you have no choice, but you kind of do. You just have to wait it out because you don't want to give them away, and better times will come. Yeah, this week might be brutal. We'll see. But Pickett now, we know he's the guy. You know that he will get better as the season goes on. Hopefully. And hopefully. And Najee will too. So just got to sit tight. Greatness pros. Would you trade Hollywood and Kirk for Mixon and Lockett?
All right, look, I shouldn't say I love Mixon, but I think Mixon's a great buy low right now. But man, Hollywood and Kirk look like legit every week stud wide receivers. I can't give up 2 wide receivers like that for Mixon. And then Lockett's fine, but he's just like a high floor PPR guy, right? He's like a Jacoby Myers or one of those guys. Like, yeah, you can put him in your lineup. You can feel pretty good. He's going to get you like 10 to maybe 16 points if he scores, somewhere in that range. But that's all he's ever really going to do. So to me, like Hollywood and Kirk, they look like they have so much upside, weekly upside right now. And I think people are worried about Hopkins. I think Hollywood's only going to get better with Hopkins because he's going to be able to play the role that he's better suited for. I can't do it. I got to hold on to those wide receivers. I can't do it.
Yeah, thing is, I would do this only if you're really thin at running back. Like maybe you're in one of those situations, we just talked about. You have a guy that you've been waiting on like Najee. You got guys that are hurt. Maybe you just lost Devante. But, Lockett's a guy is like sometimes you play him, sometimes you don't. Yeah. Hollywood and Kirk should pretty much be every week locked in wide receiver 2s. So you're going to get more production from them in the long run. So, yeah, I probably wouldn't do that either, but it kind of depends. And a couple of non-super chats here to get this out. He said it is Fletch, just to confirm from earlier.
Nice.
Good reference. We get this. Look, we're 80s kids. And Bus, always have to give a shout out to the Bus.
You're just taking the L this week. You're like, screwed. Oh, wait, I know why. Because they're playing the Jets. That's right, because they're playing the Jets.
Yeah. For those who don't know the Bus, hardcore Jets fan. That's very kind of you, but that's good advice. I know he also thinks that Tua should just retire, hanging up right now. Yeah, not happening. All right, Lloyd wants to know. He's trying to trade for Brady. Another player has Hurts and Brady. Okay, you're probably not going to get Hurts.
Yeah.
What should I offer to get Brady?
I just don't really like trading a running back or a wide receiver for a QB in a 1 QB league, unless it was Hurts. Like if I was getting Hurts, I might be okay with it, right? Because I'm getting a true difference-making quarterback. I mean, if there's like literally nobody on waiver wire, but where you can't even stream QB, like you're gonna have trouble streaming, then maybe. But I'm not trading a player that I'm gonna play week in and week out in my starting lineup for Brady. I'm not. If he wants one of my bench guys, okay, sure, I'll do it. But if he's asking for like one of my starting wide receivers or one of my starting running backs, no, I'm not doing it.
Do you see Brady somewhat as a buy low candidate now because Godwin be good rest of the season? You feel like they're going to pass a lot more now that they have kind of full strength, but his upside really, he's not a rushing. He's not like Jalen Hurts. He doesn't have that rushing upside. He's not typically going to get you the point total. It's going to win you a week, like last week, because they passed the ball a ton against Kansas City. That's not going to happen every week. So yeah, honestly, do you think there's going to be a big difference rest of the season between him and Goff?
Yeah, I do, because I'm not really a believer in Goff. Right. But again, like if there's somebody on my bench who, I'm planning on only using like bye weeks, injury fill-in type of guy, and I can trade him for Brady, then sure. Or if they'll give me Brady and maybe one of their bench players back who I might use at some point, then okay, I can do that. But I can't trade like who's like a wide receiver 3, like a Devante Smith or something like that, or maybe even like somebody like, yeah, they might be your wide receiver 3, but I can't trade a player like that for a QB in a 1 QB league. I'd rather just stream and play the matchups.
I agree. Don't go too out of your way to get a quarterback like him. King Neptune, your honor, gracing us with his presence. Cup, Higgins, Mike Williams, Christian Kirk are my receivers. Full PPR with 1 flex. Cup, not question. Help on the other 2 to start. Okay, so Higgins, Williams, Kirk.
I mean, I really, really think Mike Williams is going to go off this week. He's going to have a huge week. But I can't start him over those guys. I can't. You just have your options are too good. Yeah. So I'm gonna put 25 points on my bench, and I'm gonna play Cup, Higgins, and Christian Kirk because I think they're just too good to bench. They all have way just as high upside, and they're safer than Mike Williams. So I'm gonna bench Mike Williams, and I'm gonna hate it.
Yeah, but he's the guy who's more prone to those ups and downs. Kirk, you got to feel really good about his target share, and going against Houston, it's just so hard. And full PPR, yeah, it's really hard. Higgins was questionable. I think he's going to play, so I wouldn't worry. Higgins is like, if he's playing, he's one of those no doubt must starts. Yep. Johnny just wants to remind everyone to hit the like button. That's a good idea, you guys. All right, Joe DePaulo says he's got Renfro, Reynolds, who is questionable, Gallup, or Stream.
I can pretty easily go Renfro here. Against KC, we talked about it. Derek Carr. I mean, these games for whatever reason, like he throws the ball, like you said, 400 yards, bunch of touchdowns. Definitely will go Renfro in this matchup.
Definitely Renfro. Remember, this is a concussion. He's cleared the protocol. He had 2 weeks, not just 1. He's good to go. So there's not any physical limitation, is what I'm saying. Right? It's not an ankle that might, lock up on him again or something. He should be good to go. This should be a shootout. Renfro could have a monster game. Not guaranteeing it, but I think he'll be good to go. Carr will definitely be happy to have him back. Billington Bozeman. Someone dropped DJ Moore in my league.
Here we are. Well
done. Yeah. So you got Dotson, Gallup, and Renfro. Should I drop one of them or keep all 3?
I think if you're in a league, where DJ Moore was dropped, you could probably safely drop Dotson and not worry about anybody picking him up. He's not playing this week. He's injured. So if you're in a league where DJ Moore is just sitting out on waiver wires, then no one's probably rushing out to add Dotson. The reason why I would add DJ Moore is because if he has a big week, people are going to talk themselves into DJ Moore again. They're going to do because they just can't. They just want DJ Moore to be good so badly. Like they want it so badly that if he has a big week, you will be able to trade him so easily. Like it'll be no problem trading DJ Moore. So I think you can drop Dotson and pick up DJ Moore.
Yeah, this is not the time to drop Gallup or Renfro. They're just coming back, and those are guys we know what they can get you. Dotson, like you said, missing this week, might miss next week. He's never going to be more than the 3rd option there. So, yeah, I agree with that. You can drop Dotson for now to get more. Stardog 19, PPR 2, running back 2, receiver, and 2 flex. Okay, here we go. Dylan, CEH, Dobbins, Hollywood, Sun God, London, Devante Smith, and Tyler Boyd. You got a lot of choices here. Let's start with running back.
Well, I go the first 2 for running back, Dylan and CEH. I go the first 2 for wide receiver, Hollywood and Sun God. I'm going Devante Smith at flex for sure.
Yep.
Oh, man.
This is full PPR.
Yeah,
I know you don't want to say Dobbins, but you need to say Dobbins.
I know. I kind of feel like I do need to say Dobbins out of this group. I actually am starting Dobbins in 1 league, believe it or not.
I can't believe you have Dobbins in 1 league.
Well, it's my wife's work league. It's pretty casual. Somebody dropped Dobbins when he was injured. I traded away Jamal. I lost Devante. Here we are.
All right.
Here we are. Yeah, I think you got to – I mean, if Dobbins is your second flex, I think I'm okay with that. That's fine.
Because London, we're worried about. Tyler Boyd, I mean, yeah, you look, it's a great matchup on paper, but he's the number 3 receiver there. Like, if Higgins doesn't play, because he is questionable, if we hear something tomorrow morning, Higgins is not 100%, okay, maybe I go Boyd, but I think Dobbins has great touchdown upside this week. So I agree with everything you said. Dylan CH at running back, Hollywood and Sun God are must starts, Devante Smith for sure, and then Dobbins as your second flex. All right, so Miles Pauling, he's got Tua, Tyreek Hill, not a good time for that. CeeDee Lamb, Joe Mixon, Damian Pierce, Tyler Higbee, Judy Stevenson, Bridgewater. Okay, so thoughts?
I mean, it seems like a solid team. You got two great receivers. You got two great running backs. You got what looks like he's going to be a great tight end, assuming it's PPR, because catching a bunch of passes. You got a decent wide receiver and a decent running back. I think this team looks solid. I mean, I hope this isn't the whole roster. This is a pretty shallow roster if it is, but I mean, I think this is a solid roster, and you can get by with Teddy B until Tua comes back.
Yeah, that's it. Look, if Tua comes back next week, Tyreek Hill is 100%. You've got a good squad here. I mean, you got two really solid potential, you can call them, I guess, wide receiver ones. CeeDee Lamb is kind of borderline, but look, Dak's going to come back soon. He's been really good lately anyways. I don't know if you have any more depth here on the bench, because the only other receiver I see you listed is Judy. I mean, as your third receiver, he's okay. I would maybe want some more depth at receiver, but we don't know what your bench is. But other than that, yeah, you're pretty solid here. I don't think there's anything you need to do to like shake things up. All right, so now we're on to TJ at the flex. Etienne, Zay Jones, Mackenzie Reynolds. Getting deep.
Definitely not Etienne.
You can't start Etienne
on Reynolds here. It's between Zay Jones and Mackenzie for me. I know people are like losing their minds over Mackenzie right now because Dawson Knox is out, but we've seen this with Mackenzie before, where this is Mackenzie week, and then he doesn't really do anything. So I do like Zay Jones this week. It's a good matchup. He's involved. He's like the clear number 2 there. I'm gonna go Zay Jones.
I'm gonna go Zay Jones too, because Mackenzie's not bad as a fill-in, but Zay Jones is the number 2. Pretty clearly the number 2 target on that team, and it's a good matchup, so I go Zay Jones. Gary Webster. D. Johnson, I guess Deontay. Herbert, Deontay. Damian Pierce, and Romeo Dobbs. Pick one.
Oh, Pierce.
Definitely Pierce.
Give me Pierce.
Pierce is a guy that really could smash this week. And I know you think, well, he broke out last week. Yeah, he did. He could be even better this week. Yeah. I mean, he really could. So, yeah, Pierce to me is kind of a no-brainer there. All right, and then we got Ben Krupka. All right, his squad is Goff, A-Rod, Russ.
I'm going to assume Superflex, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, if it's if it's not Superflex, I don't know why you have those 3 quarterbacks. But anyways, Hall, Fournette, Swift, Robinson, Patterson, Latavius, Kupp, Godwin, Pittman, Woods, Hopkins. That's pretty good. And you got Mark Andrews.
Wow,
that's really good. Bills D. All right, and he says it's a 3-receiver league. I don't see a question, so I guess we're rating this team. What do you think?
9? I mean, the only real weakness here is QB. You got great running backs. You got great wide receivers. You got a great tight end. I mean, maybe your wide receiver depth isn't great, right? It depends on Hopkins. Like Woods, I think Woods will be nice this week, but going long term, I don't know how I feel about Woods. Your wide receiver depth will come down to really Hopkins. You have good running back depth. I mean, you got DeAndre Swift as your you don't even miss him right now. You're not even missing DeAndre Swift right now. That's how good you are at running back. If it's 1 QB league, I mean, get rid of some of those quarterbacks. But if it's super flex, then that's the weakness here is QB.
Yeah, and if you could, Ben, if you could give us a comment here, is the super flex? I'm guessing it almost is, not just that you have 3 quarterbacks, but maybe that's how did you get Kupp and Swift and Fournette and Mark Andrews? Is maybe you waited on the quarterback when everyone else was going quarterback. And that's why you have these guys. And even so, that's fine because Goff, you can get by with Goff. Aaron Rodgers, of course, is kind of just a safe guy. You don't have to worry. He won't miss games. He won't ever have a really bad game. And, Russ is Russ. But, yeah, if this is a single quarterback league, it's definitely a 9. And you don't need to do anything unless you want to try to upgrade a quarterback, which if this is a single quarterback league, then you could do that, right? You could trade some of your depth there at running back for it. But if it's a super flex league, I think you're still in good shape.
Yep. Good team. Very good team.
All right, so Jeremy Cohen, full PPR for flex, Damian Pierce or Damian Harris?
Damian Pierce.
Full PPR easily is Pierce. Terry R, would you trade the Sun God for London and Brees or Stevenson?
Well, I'm not trading him for London and Stevenson, that's for sure.
Right.
Now, London and Brees is close. London and Brees is close. Because again, like this comes down to, do we get weeks 1 and 2 Sun God rest the season? Like, is he this year's like Cooper Kupp? Or do we get week 3 Sun God where he's good, he's very good, but he's not like league breaking good, right? He's like 13 to 15 point kind of good, right? Because that's what we got in week 3 when he didn't score a touchdown. And if he's that guy, then Brees is more valuable than that. And Brees and London is way more valuable than that together. But if he's weeks 1 and 2, you know, Sun God where he's smashing and he's just breaking fantasy football. But I think I'm still going to go London and Brees because I think London will have better days ahead. And again, it's hard to get that running back, right? It's hard to find that potential league-breaking running back like I think Brees can be. So I'm going to go London and Brees. Even though I know we're now going to get a bunch of thumbs downs and people they're going to comment that I hate Sun God.
Yeah, we're not supposed to ever doubt him again. But
Exactly.
I mean, I can't pass on London and Brees. That's pretty good. So yeah. I think I do this too. Although, by the way, a little shout out to Turn It Up Taz. He's saying do not trade. He's been very active in the chat there. Appreciate, and I love seeing a lot of you guys are trying to help out everyone else while waiting for us to answer in the comments. Guys, this is what our Discord is. It's us helping each other, giving our thoughts and input. We don't have all the answers. We're gonna do our best, but yeah, appreciate that. Look, maybe you're gonna regret it. Maybe we'll get a curse because you trade the Sun God, but exactly. Find out. Big Luscious again. Lenny, AJ Dillon, Ramondre, pick 2. You got to start Lenny.
Yeah, got to start Lenny, and I give AJ Dillon the slight edge.
Yeah, we like both those guys. It's almost the same guy, right? The exact same guy. These bigger backs. They're in a strict timeshare. Just we feel a little better about the Packers than the Patriots because of that quarterback situation.
Yes.
And then Rye Raps is back again. All right, here's this squad. Josh Allen, Eckler, Swift, Jamal, Hunt, solid. Evans and Waddle, Samuel, Davis, Renfro, Conklin, Everett, Packers, Dolphins, Vice.
I mean, overall, this is pretty good, but this is the time, especially with your team. You got Swift and Jamal, so you can, like, okay, you're fine there because you can play Jamal. You got Hunt. Well, I was going to say trade Eckler for like a stud wide receiver coming off that big game, but then you're kind of like left with, because the problem with Swift and Jamal, they're kind of like one guy, right? Like you're not going to play Swift and Jamal. Like when Swift is healthy, you're going to play Swift, and if he's not, you're going to play Jamal. So you're basically down to like Swift and Hunt or Jamal and Hunt as your running back. So maybe that's a bad idea. Now I look at it. Yeah, I don't really see any like major moves I can make here. Like this is a very good team. Especially when Swift gets healthy, I think this could be like a really good team. So I like this team. I think just sit tight. I mean, I will say you don't need 2 defenses. Like go pick somebody up off of waivers. You know, well, one thing I like to do, I'll tell you what I like to do when I have like a free bench, when I have a bench spot, I like to pick up a handcuff running back. Never know. Maybe the lead back gets hurt, right? So you go pick up like Hassan Haskins. I don't want to say it. I don't want to curse him, but like Matt Breida, like somebody like that. One of those guys gets hurt. Let's hope not. Bam. You don't have to spend any fab on him or make a waiver claim for him because you've got him. Because you don't need 2 defenses. Just keep the one you're going to play this week, which I assume will be the Packers.
Yeah, I agree with that. You don't need a second defense. I mean, we say this all the time, like you probably could upgrade at tight end, but how? I mean, who's giving up an elite tight end at this point? Kyle Pitts isn't even an elite tight end at this point. And Hawkinson, good, but he's not elite just because of that one game. Maybe you throw a buy low offer on Kittle. That, you know, I'm not giving up on Kittle. Chris, you're probably a little more skeptical about Kittle based on what we've said, but it can't be worse than Conklin or Everett, I don't think. So, I don't know.
I mean, unless Keenan Allen keeps missing games, then Everett's going to be like an every week tight end.
I mean, if Everett is going to be an every week, you know, top 10 tight end, then you're fine.
Yeah.
All right, Rizzy. If you recall, my Devante for Pitman trade was vetoed. Yes. Vetoes should not happen unless it's very like clear and obvious collusion, which if that happens, you should not be in that league. All right. So
Oh.
now you lost Devante. Haven't paid. Oh, okay. All right. So this is
First
interesting.
of all, how do you have a $200 buy-in league and not make sure everybody's paid up first? Like this is week 5 and people haven't paid up in a $200 buy-in league. Like this isn't like, some little $5 just for fun league or whatever, where it's like, yeah, whatever. That right there is pretty bad. So that's, and you had that trade vetoed. I mean,
are there friends and family in this league? Because if so,
yeah,
don't burn those bridges. It's not worth it for fantasy football. You can't.
If you burn all these bridges, is it okay? Like if you're never going to see these people again. Like maybe like somebody you used to work with like 10 years ago, like hit you up, was like, hey, you still play fantasy? We need you this year. And like, okay, cool, I'll play. And now you're like, if it's that case where it's like you don't care if these people hate you for the rest of your life, then sure, don't pay, and quit the league or whatever. But if it's like friends and family or people that you actually want to have relationships with outside of fantasy, then you're probably gonna have to suck it up and pay the $200.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you don't want to.
Maybe just bite the bullet this year, and then next year you just don't come back to that league because vetoing shouldn't happen. There's no way that trade is unfair, Javon. That was a great trade for both sides. But you're probably just gonna have to bite the bullet unless you don't know these people or you just don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Christopher Roberge, who do I bench for the Sun God in full PPR? Godwin, Olave, or Waddle?
I think I'm gonna bench Waddle. He's the one that he just feels the riskiest to me out of these 3 guys. Like,
I thought you might say Olave just because of the Andy Dalton thing.
I know, but he was fine with Dalton last week, and the matchup is so good. Like I'm not worried about. Like, sure, if it was Winston, to me, Olave with Dalton, it's like, yeah, he doesn't have like that huge, crazy ceiling like he has with Winston, but he still has a really safe high floor, especially in this matchup. It's just nothing against Waddle. I like Waddle. It's just he just feels the riskiest of the 3. So it's like, okay, when I have 3 good options, I'm gonna like we talked about earlier with the 3 running backs. When I have 3 options I like, if one feels riskier than the other 2, I'll just won't play that one. I'll be fine with it.
I say that. Oh well, he doesn't have Winston. Well, Waddle's got Teddy B. So yeah. Now that I think about it, that is kind of the same thing. And Waddle is questionable coming in. So yeah, my gut reaction was Olave, but this week it probably wouldn't make sense to bench Waddle because of that fact that he has been limited in practice and he's got a backup quarterback too. So yeah, so bench Waddle this week.
I know, Jason. I know it's hard for you to say.
I know. I'm not kidding, guys. When I say this, that's my wallpaper on my computer back behind the screen. If I minimize the screen, it's Jalen Waddle, and it's really nice. He's like on the beach, and there's like a dolphin in the background, like jumping. Okay. Anyways, so Jason, once again, what's up, Jason? Anytime touchdown score bet. Ooh. All right. So let's do some betting here. Diggs, Kupp, Evans, and Jefferson. By the way, Chris, I'm a Rams fan. See the Kupp picture. Chris lives very close to LA, but is not a Rams fan.
I'm not a Rams fan. That was actually one of our Discord members, Chad the dad. His girlfriend made that. So I put it up in my back room. But I like Kupp. I have nothing against Kupp. My dad is a lifelong Rams fan, so there you go. I don't know if you are you betting all 4 of these? Like if I'm picking the ones I feel the best about are Diggs and Evans. Because Kupp, like the Rams don't look like an offense that can give them a lot of opportunities to score. Like they're just like dink and dunking, and then they get in the red zone and they can't score and they kick field goals. And Jefferson, even though it's a great matchup against the Bears, they're just going to run all over them. They're just going to run all over the Bears, right? That's why I like Dalvin Cook so much this week. Evans always has huge touchdown upside. I think Diggs in this matchup has touchdown upside. So those are the 2 I feel good about.
Well, here's the interesting thing. So I'm looking this up because we like to dig into the stats. It is still early. It's only 4 games. A lot of it's matchups, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but Jefferson seems like a great bet. He's going against the Bears. The Bears have only given up 1 touchdown to wide receivers this year.
That's because you just hand the ball off and you run in for an untouched touchdown. It's like you go here.
Teams don't need to pass on the Bears. They don't, because there's no reason to. It's going to be a slow-paced game. They might not score. Yeah, Jefferson's always a strong bet to possibly score a touchdown, but it's not a slam dunk you think it is. Like I said, Bears have only allowed 1 touchdown to wide receivers. And then, Kupp, I think, is always a solid bet there. I think your others are fine. That's the one I might be worried about. So I honestly, just generally speaking, I don't like to bet on touchdowns because they're so fluky. I would rather take a different kind of bet, but, I'm not a professional gambler, so maybe I'm not the one to ask. All right.
Sure.
Boomin, SKNR's University. Okay, so start 3. You got Cooks, Olave, London, and CD. You got to start CD.
Yeah, I can definitely bench London here again. Bad matchup, bad quarterback. I can pretty easily bench London here.
Yeah, CD must start. Olave we just talked about. Cooks is really not in a bad spot. He's a guy who should, and we saw last week, but should continue to see positive regression because he's getting a ton of targets.
Yeah,
that offense isn't really clicking, but it's not like we can say Atlanta's pass offense is really clicking. Good question here. Can you post a Patreon link? Chris, we already have it posted, do we not?
It's in the description, but also right here, I got it scrolling on the bottom now. It's patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. So I'll leave that scrolling down there. Anybody that wants, I'll leave that scrolling for a little bit. I'm sure you all know by now to subscribe. So.
There you go. So good question. It is. We always put that stuff in the description below the video you're watching, but there it is in that fancy red bar at the bottom. J Money. All right. So you got McLaurin, Penny, Hunt, half PPR. All right. I know mine is pretty easy on this, but go ahead.
Are we picking one of those guys?
I think so. I think he's just asking that. And then there's another question about a pickup, and then
Okay. I can fairly easily go McLaurin this week. I do like Hunt a lot. I'm a little down on Penny. I know he's coming off that big week, and people like to chase those big weeks, but a much tougher matchup this week. And again, I think it's going to be just an ugly game. So I can go McLaurin there, even in half PPR. I think he has huge upside touchdown potential this week, so I'm going McLaurin.
Definitely McLaurin. I think he didn't he make the thumbnail of one of our videos this week?
He did. The boom video, the wide receiver boom video. He's on the thumbnail.
So obviously we love McLaurin this week. I mean, look, we know that Dotson's not playing. Washington probably going to have to pass just to keep up. So in Tennessee, not a great secondary. I feel like this could be a boom week for McLaurin. All right, so who's the better ad? Pickens, Pacheco, Corey Davis, or I'm guessing that's Rachaad White. That one's kind of tough.
That one is kind of tough. I'm going to still say Rachaad White, though. I mean, liked what I saw last week. I think he just sees more and more work. But all those guys, like Corey Davis to me is fine. Like Corey Davis probably last to me out of these guys just because he's fine. He's like a guy you can throw in there, like, right, you need him. Like, I need somebody this week. Okay, you can throw Corey Davis in, but I don't feel like he has, like, breakout potential like Pickens does. And Pacheco, of course, if Edwards-Helaire gets hurt, his role should expand. But White, to me, right now, seems like he has the clearest path to being fantasy relevant and good in fantasy. So I'm going to go White.
I'm going to go White, too. And we've talked about him quite a bit. Great upside. Pacheco is, if CH isn't hurt, Pacheco is really not going to do anything for you. He's just a stash. Rachaad White, I think, will be more than a stash. I would say if you needed a guy just to pick up and throw in there this week, like a streamer, it would be Corey Davis, but you don't. Right. And clearly your receivers are good enough. And I think based on your receivers versus your running backs, I'd rather take the shot on the running back because I feel better about your receiver depth than your running backs. I mean, these are all good pickups, especially Pickens.
Yeah.
But White's the guy that we like. All right, let's see here. Next up is Jalen Williams. So he traded Austin Eckler and Dallas Goedert for Kelsey Algier, Chase Edmonds because he lost 2 starting running backs. That's kind of tough. What do you feel about that trade, though?
I mean, I like that you're getting Kelsey. I probably would have liked it if you got somebody a little bit more than Algier or Edmonds. But I can't ever argue like with getting Kelsey. That gives you such a huge advantage at the position. I mean, I don't know. The fact that you lost Patterson and Devante and now you traded Eckler, like, are your running backs now Algier and Chase Edmonds? Is that all you have left now? Or are you super deep at running back? Because that's, you might have needed Eckler. So if you're okay still at running back, like maybe you did robust RB or something this year, then I think it's fine. But I would have liked something a little better than Algier or Edmonds.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with having Kelsey. I'm worried now when I look at this. I'm worried that now your starting running backs might be both Algier and Edmonds because you had Eckler, he's your number 1. You had Devante as your number 2. You probably had Cordell as your number 3. So if your running backs 1 and 2 are now Tyler Algier and Chase Edmonds, I worry about this trade. You probably were better off keeping Eckler and then just streaming somebody or maybe doing a buy low for somebody else as your RB2. But I don't know. I don't know how deep your running back squad is. Hopefully those guys aren't both in your starting lineup. I would say if Algier does something, which I don't expect him to this week against Tampa, but if he does, maybe you go ahead and trade him for somebody else at running back. Because, you don't want to be starting those two guys necessarily. Big Luscious is back. I'm afraid to start Lenny this week. Oh, come on. No, you're not.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to sit him. I mean, I'm not worried about that. No, I can't. Look, Rachaad White's my guy, and I would love to be able to, I'm looking forward to the day when I can sit here and say, star Rachaad White confidently over Leonard Fournette. But today is not that day, unfortunately. You still got to start Lenny.
If anything, it should be the opposite. Look, White is a guy that's going to be mainly a pass catcher, right? The change of pace guy, and that's going to happen like last week. Why do we see White get involved? They had to pass because they were getting blown out, right? They had to come from behind and pass the ball a ton. They should be able to run the ball pretty easily. This should be a Leonard Fournette week. This should be a game where they're running the ball, and it should be more like 80-20 with Leonard Fournette. So I see it the opposite. Now, we'll see what happens. Maybe it's not going to be 80-20 ever again. Maybe Leonard Fournette will always just be a guy who just kind of gets 67% snaps because they want to preserve him for the playoffs. But they haven't been doing that so far. So I wouldn't worry about that.
Even if it's a 60-40 split in favor of Lenny in this matchup, you still got to start.
Yeah, well, exactly. In this matchup, you have to start Fournette.
Yeah.
Reverse SF. Okay, what do you think? 0-4. Ouch. All right, so you got Kamara, Diggs, Gibson, and London. 4. Kupp, Monty, Kirk, and Pat.
I'm guessing Freiermuth.
Pat meaning the GOAT,
Freiermuth. I like this for you. You're getting the best wide receiver. I think Montgomery will honestly be just as good as Kamara this year, assuming he's healthy, of course. Okay, yeah, you're taking a downgrade from Diggs to Kirk, but Kirk is still very good. And you're getting a tight end who, at least this week, is going to be better than Pitts and might be better than Pitts for a while. So I like this trade a lot for you, actually. I think this is like what you got. You're 0-4. I think this is a trade you got to make. You got to make this trade.
I like this trade a lot, too, because look, trading Gibson for anything right now that's a win for you. That's great.
Yeah, that's a win.
We're both kind of iffy on Kamara. I think he'll be fine, like startable, but he's not going to be an RB1. He's going to be like an RB2, even if he's healthy. You upgraded from Kupp over Diggs. I mean, not a huge upgrade, but still, you got Kupp. You're not complaining.
Yeah.
So, and then you need Pitts. I mean, you need Pat because you have Pitts, like you said. Yeah. So you're solid now, at least at tight end. And Kirk is an every week starter. So I think this is a good move. This is the kind of move that could help you out.
Yeah, it's a good turn your season around right here for sure.
All right, Luis Mendez was with us last week. Back for more. Etienne, Garrett Wilson, Algier, or Pickens, flex. Pick one, full PPR.
I'm going Garrett Wilson. I can't start Algier against the Bucs. I can't start Etienne until we see something different. I get the Pickens potential, but again, Kenny Pickett, first career start, and it's the Bills in Buffalo. No, thank you. No, thank you. I like Garrett Wilson this week. It's a good matchup. That Dolphins secondary, they give up a lot of yards. I don't know if I haven't heard if Xavier Howard is playing or not, but even still, he's way less than 100%. So I like Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, you can't start Etienne. Like at all. Algier, full PPR against the Bucks. No way.
Oh, thank you.
Look, Pickens, I said this before, he's a guy I threw in a DK tournament lineup. He's not a guy I'm throwing in my redraft league because you're just hoping for a big play, which could happen, or he could do nothing. So Garrett Wilson is definitely the move here. And like you said, Dolphins defense is also a little bit banged up in the secondary. All right, Giotto X. Would you trade Kirk for Jacobs? He's got Dobbins, Monty, Mitchell, so kind of hurting at running back right now. At wide receiver, he's got Debo Diggs and Samuel and Lazard, so he's definitely stronger at receiver, but still, would you trade Kirk for Jacobs?
Yeah, I need a little more than Jacobs. I get trading Kirk for a running back because, I mean, Debo, Diggs, and Samuel, unless you can flex and, unless you can play all four of those guys, Kirk probably is going to be. Well, actually, wait. No, that's Curtis. Never mind, because he's got Debo Samuel. That's Curtis Samuel, right? That's Curtis Samuel.
I'm assuming it's Curtis. Well, yeah, because he says
Debo.
Debo.
Can't be Debo Samuel unless he's got two Debo Samuels, which would be a big advantage over the rest of your league. Okay, then in that case, no, definitely not. Definitely not. Because I'd rather start Debo, Diggs, and Kirk. Because those three wide receivers give you so much weekly upside. Just, you don't even need like your running backs to be incredible. Because those three wide receivers can go, any of those three guys can go off on any week, and two of them can go off on any week, or all three can go off on any week. So, yeah, Jacobs will probably be better than I thought because he's getting the work, but he's not going to be like, okay, that was nice next week, but he's not going to have that kind of ceiling every week. So, I don't do that. I don't do that.
And to me, this feels like kind of an overreaction to last week. Jacobs coming off a big game, Kirk coming off a down game. You're kind of buying high for Jacobs because he's not going to do that every week. And I get that you're kind of desperate running back, but don't make a move to make your team overall less productive just to sacrifice that. Look, Dobbins is going to be fine. Even though we don't love Dobbins, you can start him every week because he has touchdown upside. Monty might play this week, and even if he doesn't, he should be good by next week, kind of back to closer to full strength. Eventually, you get Mitchell back for whatever that's worth. You can throw somebody at running back. Kirk is a guy you, for most weeks, should be able to kind of set and forget. So I get that you feel like this helps your roster in terms of starting players, but I wouldn't do this because I feel much better about Kirk long term. And then James is asking, I thought this was start sit not trade questions. Why not both, right? You can say in that taco commercial, why not both?
Yeah.
We do a Tuesday night show where we talk about waivers because waivers usually run Tuesday, and we get a lot of trade questions. If you ask us a trade question, we're not going to ignore it because it's a trade question. Because look, these moves are just as important as your start sit questions because who you trade might determine who you start. Because if you pull this trade off, before Sunday morning, or this is the time to do it. The point is, this is a show for us to help you win at fantasy football. So
yes.
He's saying, okay, this is a kind of follow-up outside that.
Doesn't even count.
I mean, clear up some roster space and drop him.
Yeah, drop him.
And he picked up Rashad White.
Good.
All right, well, that's
good.
That's good. I mean, look, I don't know that I would start Rashad White this week unless you had to, but
I think
I wouldn't make that trade.
Yeah, I still wouldn't make that trade.
And Lloyd just wants to say thanks. Hey,
you're welcome.
Appreciate you. All right, now Cameron threw a super chat. I'm going to see if I can find that question. We're going to keep going. Oh, wait, it's back here. DK, Gabe Davis, Olave, or Ramondre. I guess we'll assume full PPR.
Yeah, this is close between Olave and Ramondre for me. I think with Dalton playing, I feel better about Ramondre. If Winston was playing, I probably would give the edge to Olave. But with Dalton playing, I mean, I like Olave's floor, but I just think Ramondre in this matchup against the Lions, I'm going to go Ramondre.
This one is really tough. I don't know. I mean, I would say I could probably wait on Gabe compared to these options just because we don't know. I mean, it's just too risky. Kind of feel good about Olave still. Ramondre is in a good spot. Yeah, I'll just go Ramondre too. This one's pretty tough, though. It's really close just across the board. All right, and then Bo Lawson threw us a super chat here. I don't see this one, so Chris, if you happen to see it, let me know. We'll keep
All
looking
right.
for you, Bo.
See if I can find it.
This is a good time to remind everybody, by the way, we are going to get to all the super chats first. If you want your question for sure answered, besides the super chat feature tonight, again, join that Patreon. Link is right there, scrolling below, and then we can talk to you on Sunday mornings. All right, Rafari Cooper, Najee or Corey Davis?
Oh, this question. Oh, man. Honestly, I'm feeling like I should say Corey Davis, and I can't believe it. Like he's.
I mean, I don't hate Corey Davis this week because
No,
he's
I
looked
don't
good.
either.
He's gone over 70 yards in 3 of the first 4 games. He got targeted quite a bit from Zach Wilson. We talked about Dolphins secondary. Xavier Howard not 100%. He's got upside. I mean,
yeah.
How much upside do you feel Najee has against Buffalo?
Not a lot. Not a lot. I think, yeah, I hate it, but I think I got to go Corey Davis, sadly.
It feels dirty, but I agree. Get to sit Najee for Corey Davis.
Jeez.
All right, and then another one here, Scott McCaffrey. We'll be on the lookout for your question, assuming it's somewhere on here, unless you're just throwing us the super chat, in which case, thanks. Thanks either way. Cameron Lee, I think this is the same question.
Yeah, I think we just had this one.
We just had this one. We did see it, Cameron, so if you didn't hear it, we're going to go with Ramondre.
Yes.
All right, guys, we're catching up here, though we're still a little behind, but that's okay. Should I start T-Law against the Texans or Kyler against the Eagles? This is a legit question.
I can't do it. I can't sit Kyler for Trevor Lawrence. I just can't. I know it's a good matchup. I can't do it. I just can't. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Kyler will bust. I'm starting Kyler.
I'm very down on Kyler and the Cardinals. You know this. It's a terrible matchup, but the thing is, I feel like the Jaguars, this is going to be a game where the running backs go off. I don't feel like Lawrence will need to throw it much. I think Lawrence will be fine, but I would still go with Kyler because at least, he maybe he has to throw the ball a lot just because they're down big to the Eagles. He probably will be. He has that rushing upside. Lawrence really isn't running the ball. So, yeah, as much as I don't like Kyler Murray, I would still go Kyler Murray. All right, and then Sebastian wants to know Rachaad White or Kareem Hunt or Antonio Gibson. I guess I'm going to assume we're flexing one of these guys.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going Kareem Hunt. Definitely not starting Antonio Gibson. White,
no,
just a little too risky for me as far as his usage goes this week. Not ready to say he's a guy I'm going to put in my lineup yet, so I'm going to go Kareem Hunt.
I'm going to go Kareem Hunt. Exact same thing. Hunt is still fine. I know he let us down last week, but should be in store for better things. So I'm going to go there. Joe Castles, welcome back. Joe joins us a lot. All right. This is an excuse to talk about my guy. You're talking about Kyle Phillips, right? Kyle Phillips or Khalil Shakir. I know there's some people getting love to Khalil Shakir. I mentioned him in our Beat the Breakout video as far as a stash. I think he's a guy to keep an eye on, but I don't think he's a guy to throw in your lineup yet this week. I know Dawson Knox is out, but still, I wouldn't do it yet. I love Kyle Phillips.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not quite as high on Kyle Phillips as you are this week, but it is a good spot for him. Yeah, I can't push Shakir in. And now, really quick, hold on. I didn't find, but I have to bring this one up. Is this the real Mark Bell? Like, if you're the real, this is like crazy for me because I don't know if you guys know. I don't want to take too much time. I come from a powerlifting background. Used to powerlift all the time. Followed Mark Bell for many, many years. Mark Bell's Power Project. I know what that is. If this is you from your YouTube channel, man, thank you. I can't believe you're asking us a channel or a question. So I'm going to answer it for you. Yes, I think CeeDee Lamb is a great start this week. The Rams, their secondary is nothing to be scared of anymore. I love Mike Williams, but I got to go CeeDee Lamb over Mike Williams.
All right.
Also, let me know in the chat. Is that wow, crazy?
Okay, trade question. Trade Chubb for Hall. Akai Chris is always lower than everyone else on, and a guy that you're always
Here
higher
we
than. But do
go.
you do this?
I feel like people just ask these questions so that I can get roasted in the chat when I say,
It's a test.
"Oh man, jeez."
I don't think you can trade Chubb right now. I'll just say that. Look, I
Yeah.
love Brees Hall almost as much as you, but man, Chubb is just being used so much, and he's just being so efficient. I can't trade Chubb right now.
Yeah, I think you got to keep Chubb. I know. You got to keep Chubb. You got to keep Chubb.
All right. Shrek and Fiona back for more. Renfro, Devante Smith, Mike Will, pick 2.
Definitely Devonta Smith and Mike Williams. Just incredible upside this week for both those guys in great spots. I like Renfro, but he's more like a high floor play. So yeah.
Right. I mean, Renfro is fine, could go off in that matchup, but I'm not going to put him over those two guys. Those two guys should go off. I think it's interesting. I don't know if anybody saw this with Devante Smith because he, had those 2 great games, and last week he let down, right? Didn't do much. There was this clip of him, I saw it on Twitter, where they were saying like he just hated the cold. Did you see that, Chris? And this cold weather, and they're like pregame, and they were throwing the ball, and he just kept letting it go through his hands, and he was like, he just like he was not having it. He didn't want to be there, and he's like, man, you all know how cold it was. So maybe that has something to do with it. He just didn't want to be there. Now going to Arizona, we could see a Devante Smith big game against that Arizona secondary. Sometimes it's those things you don't know about, right? Like, did you know Devante Smith hated the cold? I did not know that.
No.
I hate the cold too. Nick Jackson, what's up? Need an RB and a flex. Mixon. You got to start Mixon. James Robinson, Jamal Williams, Godwin, or Kirk? Whoa. Only picking 1 to flex and 1 running back.
Well, you got to go Mixon at running back for me.
Yeah. So who do you flex?
Godwin or Kirk? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't look. I'm expecting a big game from James Robinson, but I'm not also expecting a big game from both Godwin and Kirk. And Jamal, You can't start against this defense. He's got the lowest upside. So it's a coin flip between Godwin and Kirk. I lean Godwin, but I could see both ways.
Yeah, it's such a close decision.
And I think is I could be wrong because I'm thinking, okay, last week was Evans, right, in the red zone, and I think this week is more Godwin. It might just be Evans who goes off again. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like almost always Evans in the red zone.
Yeah,
Godwin's more like the high catch, I'll just say Godwin so you don't have to worry about it because I think they're both going to be great. So I'll go Mixon and Godwin.
All right, there you go. I like to make things easy. Sean B. Got Khalil Herbert or James Conner. Let's start with that.
Herbert. Well, if Montgomery plays, then you have to play Conner because I think if Montgomery plays, he's going to get the bulk of the snaps and the bulk of the touches. So then you have to go Conner. But if Montgomery's out, Herbert.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And then Reynolds, Renfro, Boyd. So I guess we're just flexing 1, or you could flex a running back, which you probably won't. So for your RB2, go Herbert. For your flex, who do you like there?
I'm gonna go Renfro. I was debating but I can't flex Conner. I just can't. I'd rather have Renfro in PPR in this matchup against the Chiefs. So I'm gonna go Renfro as my flex, and then I'm gonna go Herbert if Monty's out. Otherwise, Conner is my running back.
Yeah, I like Renfro. But look, Boyd has some upside. We can't lie about that, but I'd go Renfro in the matchup personally. But they're just pretty close here. Just to clarify, Chris wants to know, who is the sun god? I'll pretty soon have to I really want to make a t-shirt, which, by the way, this is a perfectly reasonable segue to, we have merch, by the way, if anybody, because people have been asking, I want an endgame shirt, want an endgame hat. Okay, so this is going to be on our website, which is endgamefantasysports.com, but we have a link to it, bearclothing.org, and we have a little section down there with fantasy football endgame merch. I'm going to have Corey work out a thing where we get a shirt where it has Amon-Ra St. Brown doing the Praise the Sun pose, which if Anybody who doesn't know, I'm getting real deep here, but I'm obsessed with the games like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, the Souls series, right? Elden Ring is the one out now. So anybody who's played the first Dark Souls, you know that Praise the Sun. I have a shirt of that, by the way. I'm a super nerd. I'm gonna have it made. We're gonna have the Sun God in the background somewhere. You got Cooper Cup. I'm gonna have the Sun God.
All right, there we
Top
go.
and Chief's gonna be very happy about that.
Yes.
All right, back to football. Start sit trades. Paul Byrbent, full PPR, two for two trades. Okay. Start sit. Let's do this first. 2 receivers and 1 flex. He's got Burrow and Dak. He's got CMC, Dobbins, Singletary, and Robinson. Got Lamb, Higgins, Kirk, Godwin, Curtis Samuel, and Kelsey. So he's asking which receivers to start and who to flex.
Well, I think you got to start Lamb and Higgins. I still think you got to start Lamb and Higgins at wide receiver, or even over Kirk and Godwin. I got to flex CMC. I can't bench CMC. I like Godwin, I like Kirk, but I can't bench CMC. I got to go.
I'm assuming, though, because he says running back is CMC, Dobbins, Singletary. Look, I'm assuming you're starting.
Well, because he said 2 wide receiver, 1 flex.
Yeah, but he's going this his whole lineup. Like, you're starting Burrow, I guess. You're starting Kelsey. He's probably starting. When he says 2-2, does that mean he's starting 2 running backs and 2 receivers? I think that's what it means. Like, he's starting CMC and Dobbins, probably.
Okay.
I would assume.
Okay, CMC, Dobbins. Then in that case, I'll flex Godwin. If that's the case.
This is basically the same question we just had, right? It's like Kirk or Godwin. I mean, yeah, you got to start Lamb. I know it's not a great matchup on paper, but you don't sit Lamb against the Rams, do you?
No. The Rams are getting torched by wide receivers, but not only that, they're getting torched by number 1 wide receivers because Ramsey is not a shutdown guy anymore. He's not really getting it done, and the corners behind him are really, really bad. So, yeah, you got to start Lamb.
Look, you know what? We talk about how bad the Ravens defense has been, especially the receivers. Right behind them, the second worst is the Rams. You wouldn't think that. Terrible. But it is. So you almost have to start Lamb in this matchup. Higgins, if he's healthy, you have to play him. So I slightly lean Godwin, but it's really close with Kirk. All right. Let's see. TJ back. Zay Jones, Ayuk, Palmer, or Duvernay?
Do I like Zay Jones more than Ayuk? That's the question.
I wouldn't go Palmer. Duvernay, no. I know tempting with Rashad Bateman. I wouldn't put him over those guys.
No, I'm not playing Palmer or Duvernay over those guys. It's between Zay Jones and Ayuk for me. Ayuk with Jimmy G is just one of the reasons I was so high on Ayuk was he was getting such, like Cal Shanahan was like, he's working hard, he's looking good, so he's not in the doghouse, and B, Trey Lance has got a cannon. He's got a cannon. I mean, maybe he wouldn't have been accurate with that cannon. We'll never know. Maybe we'll find out next year. Jimmy Jesus does not throw it deep, and he can't throw it deep. He's one of the worst deep ball passers. And that's really killing Ayuk. 3 targets each of the last 2 games, I think, or maybe 4 targets last week. And but Zay Jones is just okay, yeah, he's fine. He just doesn't excite me. I feel like if it was my team, I'd play Zay Jones. So I'm going to say Zay Jones.
I am too. As bad as Carolina's offense has been, their defense really isn't that bad. They get put in bad situations sometimes by Baker Mayfield, but I feel like this is going to be a pretty low-scoring game. So I go Zay Jones, go with that upside against Houston. Greg Lukomsky wants to know, which trade do you prefer? All right, Pitman, his name is being invoked again. So Eckler and Pittman for Kamara and Tyreek, or Eckler and Pittman just for Cup?
Maybe Michael Carter too. I don't know if I like either of those.
Would you rather keep Eckler, Pittman?
I mean, it's hard not to get Cup. It's hard not to get Cup. It's hard to be be like, here, you can have Cooper Kupp, and to say no to that. Like, it's hard to do that right now because, right, it looks like the guy's going to be like you just know you're getting 20 plus fantasy points every single week. Don't have to worry about it because he's going to, because Stafford's going to target him like 20 times. That's all Stafford can do these days. I feel like that might be too much for Kupp.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little much for Kupp.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's hard to say no to that, but you're giving up a top running back plus a guy who at least should be a number 2 receiver, should be a number 1 receiver. We'll see, but
yeah, okay. I still believe in Pitman.
I might do the first deal if I felt better about Kamara, which
that's the thing. I just don't feel good about Kamara at all. Like,
because
but then like Kamara, like he's just like I don't think I do either of those. Although I will say it's hard not to take Kupp. It's very hard not to take Kupp because you just have.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I just keep Eckler or Pitman, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of trades, Roberto. What is up, Roberto? All right. So need help 2-2 team. All right, so we got Stafford, Harrison, Akers, Kupp, Adams, Everett, Pollard, Boyd, Edmonds, Henderson, White, Bateman, Chark. What should he do? Because he's always looking for a trade.
Harris, Akers, Kupp, Adams, Everett. I mean, I don't really see a lot you can do unless.
I mean, you should upgrade those running backs, but how do you do that? Because who's taking Najee or Akers? You don't want to trade.
Nobody's taking those guys right now, unless you're just asking for nothing. I mean, Bateman, but now he's hurt, so his, maybe if Bateman wasn't hurt, you could package him with somebody, but now he's hurt. I mean, unless you trade Adams, but then you're gonna be really weak at wide receiver, like. See, this is a team that's hard to like. It's hard to make moves when you have a team like this because you either have to trade away like Kupp or Adams, which you really don't want to do, but you really don't have any other options. Like you can't like these other guys like Harris, Akers have no trade value right now. Pollard has no trade value. Boyd has no trade value. Edmonds has no trade value. Henderson has no trade value. Maybe Rashad White has some trade value. Bateman, if he was healthy, has some trade value, but now he's hurt. Chark doesn't have any, like you don't have any trade value here. Like Matt Stafford doesn't. You don't have your only trade value is Kupp and Adams, and you don't really want to trade those guys.
Yeah,
I mean, unless you could trade Adams for like Mixon or like a stud running back who can. But even then, it's like now who your wide receiver is going to be. So yeah, this is yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't trade one of those top receivers just to get a running back. That's the strength of your team. You don't want to weaken the area that's strong, and you just got to hope Najee gets better. Honestly.
Yeah, this is one of those teams where I don't really see like, yeah, this team's kind of it's a 2-2 team.
Kind of. Elijah wants to know 2 flex: Devante, McKenzie, Conklin, Dillon, or Palmer.
I'm gonna go Devante and Dillon.
Yeah, that those guys jumped off the page to me. Definitely Devante Smith. Definitely Dillon.
Yeah, love him this week.
All right, Joe. Late again. A man after my own heart. Joe? This is one of the few things that I'm on time for, and even then, I'm not always on time. Right?
Yes, that's true.
We agree on a lot of things. We're very similar in a lot of ways. But one way we are not similar is Chris is always on time or early. He hates being late. I actually don't like being early. It bothers me. True fact. All right, the Fractal Rain. Can't forget him or her.
Yeah, what's up?
10 full PPR, 2 flex, Lazard, Higbee, Herbert, J-Rob.
I think you definitely got to go J-Rob out of that group. I'll say if Montgomery is out, I go Herbert. Otherwise, I go Lazard.
Agree. Not expecting a big game from Lazard. I don't think they'll have to pass too much. It's not a great matchup for him. But I'd go with him over Herbert if Monty plays. If not, go with Herbert. Scott McCaffrey again. I don't know if I ever saw your.
I was looking. I didn't find him or Bo. So you guys, Scott and Bo, if you're still on, which hopefully you are, just type in. You don't have to super chat it. Just type in your comment. You don't have to super chat it. Just type it into the regular comments, and I'll see it and I'll pull it up.
All right, we'll keep going with James Johnson the second. Would you rather have rest of season Zeke or Dobbins? Testing you again.
Not even high on Dobbins. No doubt J.K. Dobbins. No doubt J.K. Dobbins.
Definitely Dobbins. Zeke, you know what? Not doing anything for your team at this point. Definitely.
I don't want to go on a Zeke rant, but real talk. If we were if the season ended today and we were drafting next year, what round is Zeke going in? 10? 11? He's like a double-digit running back. That you, like, how high are we? Like, where are we drafting Zeke right now? If the season ended today and we were drafting for next season,
someone will still draft him as a high end RB3 or low end RB. Oh, it's Zeke.
Zeke in round 5. What a steal! Right?
You never know, but no, it's true. Zeke's not doing anything for your team. He really isn't. Even last week, we thought he had some upside. It's Washington.
Here, I agree. Undrafted.
All right. I mean, probably not, but should he be undrafted? Talk amongst yourselves. All right. Christian Piruola. Half PPR. Barkley and JT. That's pretty good. Penny or Akers to replace Taylor, and then Everett over Kittle.
I'm gonna say Penny over Akers. Just can't. Really, the only Rams players I trust right now are Kupp and Higbee, and that's it. Like, that offense looks horrible. So I'm gonna say Penny. And then with Keenan Allen out, I'm actually going to say Gerald Everett because he's getting the usage, he's getting the red zone looks. Like, I don't think he's getting just as much usage as we hope Kittle gets. And he's got Justin Herbert, not Jimmy G. So I'm going to actually say Everett over Kittle this week.
I'm still leaning Kittle, but I don't blame you for going Everett. I don't blame you at all. I mean, to me, it's pretty close. So, and agree. Yeah, you got to go with Penny. All right, Quino. Pick 2. Garrett Wilson. Got Gabe, got Lazard, Godwin, and St. Brown. I mean,
it's got to be Godwin and St. Brown. Love them both this week.
Easily the last two. Those guys are no doubt you must start this week. I mean, let's hope Amon-Ra is full strength. You know, obviously, if something happens, he doesn't go tomorrow, then you pivot. If you do have to pivot, let's just answer that. If Amon-Ra doesn't go, has a setback, who do you like in those first 3?
Gabe Davis.
All right, I agree. Gabe Davis it is. Oh, here's Scott.
Okay, there we go.
Got the question in. All right, 10-team PPR league, only 3 running backs per roster.
Oh, so wow, okay.
Oh, it's 10-team. I get that. All right. So would you drop James Conner for Singletary, Hunt, or Ramondre?
Yes, and now I'm just trying to decide which one.
Probably either Hunt or Ramondre. I know you like Ramondre this week. You just go with a guy who you feel like is startable this week.
Yeah, see, in a setting like this where these guys are, where you're gonna have so many options on the waiver wire, you don't need to stash a running back in case of an injury, right? Pick up handcuffs. So yeah, I'd probably grab Ramondre because I like him the best this week. And then, yeah, you don't have to worry about you don't have to think long term, right? Because you can just drop them and pick up Singletary or Hunt next week. So yeah, Ramondre.
This would be an interesting league to be in terms of waiver wire bids or fab. I mean, because everyone's jockeying every week for the hot running back pickup. So yeah, I go at this point. I go with the guy who I feel best about right now, and that's Ramondre. Kareem Hunt should be kind of the better long term, but not necessarily. It's not as clear cut as it has been. Quick reminder. Roberto, join the Patreon. That has been scrolling down below, patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. All right, let's keep going here. We got Randy Mitchell, Herbert, Cook, CEH, Diggs, Williams, Hawkinson. Those are the starters. All right, and then the flex, Khalil Herbert, bench, Singletary, Sanders, Dobbs, Lockett, Jacoby Myers, and Pitts. What is the strength of this team? Would you switch anybody, and would you trade anybody?
Well, first, I'm going to assume Cooks. He means Dalvin Cook, not Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, because it's in order. That's a good point.
Yeah. Okay. So Dalvin Cook, CEH. He's got Diggs, Mike Williams, Herbert as his QB, Hawkinson as his tight end, Singletary, Sanders, Dobbs, Lockett, Myers, Pitts. I think if Monty plays, I would put Miles Sanders in over Herbert.
Yes.
The strength of your team is your wide receivers, but your running backs are pretty strong too. I just like this week. I think Dalvin will be great, but I do worry about Dalvin long term. This is basically the Rams' offense, right? This isn't a run first offense. This isn't a team that gets near the goal line and just pounds the ball like we've seen in the past. But I still think, with Diggs and Mike Williams, you have a ton of upside there. But you do need some wide receiver depth.
Yeah.
You definitely need some wide receiver depth. So if you were going to make a trade, I would try to get an upgrade of wide receiver. So maybe like Singletary and Dobbs and get a better wide receiver. Because Singletary does have some value right now. People are kind of like talking themselves into Singletary, and we know Dobbs. A lot of people like Dobbs, the hype with Dobbs. Maybe package like Singletary and Dobbs and get a better wide receiver than Lockett or Myers. Maybe like a Devante Smith, who people are pretty low on right now.
There you go. And that's why, Chris puts out those buy low videos. Take a shot on those guys. And a lot of people think, they won't do that. They won't. You don't know. You really don't know until you try. The worst thing is, don't send an insulting offer, but you don't even know what people consider insulting. Sometimes you put something that you think is totally fair and that's ridiculous. All right, well, whatever. Then don't trade with that guy. You try something else. So it's worth it. And that's exactly what I thought. Dobbs and Lockett, those are guys you can throw in there sometimes based on matchup, but I don't feel great. If one of those receivers you have goes down, do you feel like you have a solid wide receiver too? Not really. So I would try to strengthen your depth at receiver and agree. As far as this week, you're fine unless Monty does play. Then I would swap out Sanders. So basically exactly what Chris said. Not a super chat, but I do feel compelled to throw this up. Sometimes things catch my attention. Peanut butter jelly definitely caught my attention. That's always good. Colin, the Justin Fields breakout. Top 3 finish. Thoughts?
Is he going to score 3 touchdowns, like rushing touchdowns? Because that's probably what it's going to take.
That's definitely what it's going to take. We'll see. I thought, remember a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I almost put Justin Fields as a boom when they played Houston. And then I was like, no, and I switched it. I don't regret taking him off.
No, definitely
not. Just Sherman, 4. All right. So do you keep Burks, Madison, Mitchell, Matt? I'm not sure who Matt or Burks, Mitchell. I guess he's asking which 2 to keep out of those 3.
Is that Matt Breida? Is that who it is?
I think he means Madison.
Oh, so he's saying Burks, Madison, Mitchell, Madison, or Burks. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's 3 guys, and he's asking which 2 to keep.
I'm keeping Mitchell and Madison. Mitchell will be back eventually. Madison always a Cook injury away from being a every week must start. So I'm keeping those 2.
Yeah, Burks does not need to keep it. If you have an extra IR spot and you don't have to drop him, sure, stash him. But look, he's on IR. He's going to miss 4 weeks. It's not like he was, lighting the world on fire anyways. He's a rookie in a very low volume pass offense. And now this week, we're going to see Kyle Phillips emerge as a target hog, and then he's just going to take all the shine there. So, you know what? I love Burks, but only in Dynasty now. All right, full PPR flex, Chalky. Chalky wants to know. Pierce, Waddle, Jacobs, or Robinson, he only needs one of those. But he has Lockett as his wide receiver too. Maybe that's...
Yeah, put Waddle in instead of Lockett, definitely.
Yeah.
So now... I got to go Pierce.
Me
Pierce.
too.
Just such a great spot. He's getting I know Jacobs getting all the touches too, but we talked about it. I think this is going to be a game where they throw the ball a ton. They're not going to run it much. That defense looks terrible for the Raiders. Patrick Mahomes should have no problem. I like Pierce.
Gotta like Pierce. And look, I know Jacobs coming off that big game. Going against the Chiefs, not guaranteed they're going to be able to run the ball as much or as effectively. And I do love James Robinson this week, but I love Pierce just as much. So it's tough. It's between those 2 guys, but I give the slight edge to Pierce. And then not a super chat, but this also, I feel like we talk about this now for 3 straight weeks. Is Everett a lock this week with Allen now and Palmer's questionable over Njoku? It's always Gerald Everett, David Njoku. It's always between those two guys. Gus asked us this last week. Yeah. I know Everett scored, but Njoku actually got more yards.
That's the thing. So
who are you going with this week?
Either one. It's like they're the same guy to me. Like with Keenan Allen out, they're like the same guy.
Like, and they're facing each other.
Yeah, and they're facing each other. So, I mean, maybe slight edge to Everett because he has Justin Herbert. But yeah, like Everett, like Njoku, I'm pretty sure had more catches and yards last week, but Everett scored. So,
yeah, it was pretty.
They're both good.
It's pretty close here. I mean, it's kind of a coin flip situation here.
I wouldn't say Everett's a lock over Njoku, but no. I mean, I guess maybe I'd slightly prefer Everett just because of Herbert.
Exactly. All right, Alex Sanchez, pick 2 for RB2 and flex. So this is a PPR league. Got Jamal Williams, Damian Harris, Dobbins. Those are all great standard non-PPR players. And Rashad Penny. You got all the running backs who just don't catch passes. Ayuk, Myers. All right, so let's do that first. So pick 2 on RB2 and the flex.
Well, I think you got to go Jamal as your RB2. I think he's just going to get so much work. And I think I still go, well, yeah, I think I flex Damian Harris. I don't really like Penny a lot this week. I don't like that matchup. I think he's going to come back. I think he's going to have a down week. Dobbins, I mean, you've kind of talked me into Dobbins a little bit, so I'm a little higher on him than I was like 2 hours ago whenever we started this. But Damian Harris against the Lions, I mean, there's just like he should be running wild. So I think I'm going to go Jamal and Damian Harris. And I don't Ayuk or Myers, nah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Normally we might pick a full PPR, pick a receiver to flex out, but I don't love either of those receivers. Like you said, I wouldn't go Penny. It's between those first 3 for me. I'm going to go with Dobbins. I think he's going to get a lot of usage. I think he's looking good. I'm like in love with him or anything.
But you're picking Dobbins over your boy Damian Harris.
This week I am, because I like Ramondre better than Damian Harris, and I'll go Jamal Williams. So I go Williams and Dobbins. These are all kind of like the same guy, right? They don't catch passes. Yeah. They're going to get a ton of work, but I feel best about the usage for Jamal Williams because he doesn't have Swift or anyone to contend with. Right. I feel best about the usage of Dobbins. Damian Harris, we know, is in that timeshare, so I'm going to go with that. Even though Harris technically has the best matchup of those 3, so I could be wrong. Mike. All right, so here we go. Traded. This is quite the trade. So you traded Najee, St. Brown, Robinson, and Olave for CMC, Devante, Kirk, and Hunt.
I don't. You know what?
So
I don't think this is a bad trade for you. I mean, I hate to say it, but CMC looks better than Najee right now. I think, like, okay, maybe St. Brown will be better than Kirk, but I don't think St. Brown's going to destroy Christian Kirk. I like Olave more than Deontay, but again, I'm not sure Olave will destroy Deontay. I get the thing about Brian Robinson is exciting. I have Brian Robinson on a lot of teams. I got him stashed. I had him stashed on a lot of teams. But we have to also understand that Gibson's not just going to disappear. McKissick is still going to catch a ton of passes. Like Brian Robinson probably not walking into like some workhorse role. And I think Hunt will have better days. I think Hunt will be better. So I kind of like this. I like this trade for you. I don't think it's bad. I like this trade for you.
You know what? Obviously, you got to shake things up at 0-4, and Najee has been a big part of why you're 0-4, along with Pitts.
Exactly.
I said it earlier. I think Najee will be better, but I'm taking CMC over him. I mean, I said this before the season. I had CMC as number 2 guy, and Kirk and St. Brown might be kind of the same rest of the season, the way they've been used. So you don't have a downgrade there. Olave, okay, I do feel better about Olave than Deontay right now, but it's not make or break. I'd rather have the upgraded running back.
Yeah.
And then Hunt and Robinson might be about the same. So I do like this move for you. So I think that's a good trade, Mike. That's a good way to shake things up and try to help your team out. Jay Tizzle, my whizzle. Just wanted me to say that. Garrett Wilson or Robert Woods?
Oh, boy. I'm still going to go Garrett Wilson. I know Robert Woods in a great spot, but I don't think Tennessee's going to have to like suddenly throw the ball more. I still think they're just going to barely throw the ball. It'll probably be a Derrick Henry week. Maybe Woods finds the end zone, but I still got to go Garrett Wilson in a good spot. I'm going Garrett Wilson.
And I'm going to go Robert Woods just to confuse you, because I do like the opportunity. Look, you've said this all along. Washington, stream against them with receivers, that pass defense. And we know Burks is out. So I do feel like there's a good opportunity for Woods and Phillips. Wilson's not a bad pick, but I'm going to go with Woods this week. Colin Smith, full PPR, 1 running back, 1 flex, Breece Hall, Kareem Hunt, Devante Smith.
I'm going to sit. I know I've talked up Kareem Hunt quite a bit tonight, but I'm going to sit him for Hall and Devonta Smith. Just Hall getting way too much usage. You got to have him at RB, and then Smith just way too high of a ceiling this week.
Yep, I'm with you there. You start Breece Hall, and then you definitely want to start Devonta Smith. Could smash this week. So there you go. Colin, you're going to go with Hall and Smith. Christopher Wilson, Curtis Samuel, or Romeo Doubs?
Definitely going Samuel here. No Dodson. Love the matchup. Dobbs, yeah, he's fine. But like you said, probably not going to be a ton of fireworks in that game. I'm going to go Curtis Samuel.
Definitely going Curtis Samuel too. Dobbs is going to be a little more boom bust on a weekly basis, but talking about this game, will be slow, will be a lot of running. It's going to be the battle of the Green Bay running backs versus Saquon. I think Curtis Samuel gets the usage, like Curtis Samuel, a good amount this week. So there you go. Big crit back again. Would you flex Jeff Wilson or Khalil Herbert? I know Khalil Herbert, it's always that if, right? If Monty plays, if Monty doesn't.
Yeah, if Monty plays, then I'm going Wilson. If Monty's out, I'm going Herbert. That's really how it's going to be.
Same for me. And then what about Rondale Moore? Worth picking up? Not for me.
Only like in really deep leagues, but not really. Not really.
I've never been high on Rondale. Nothing has made me change my mind, especially with this year, the way Arizona offense has looked. I'm not wasting a spot on Rondale Moore. So Cooper Griffin threw a super chat. Don't see a question, except I do now. And here it is. 2 running backs on a flex. Cook, Sanders, Pierce, Godwin, Olave.
All right, so running back, I think you got to go Dalvin Cook and Dameon Pierce, both in great spots this week. I know Sanders too, but man, just feel so much better about those guys this week. And then I got to flex Godwin over Olave. Love Olave, but with Andy Dalton, just limits his upside a little bit. So I'm going Dalvin Cook, Dameon Pierce are my running backs with Godwin as my flex.
I'm definitely going Cook and Pierce, and of course Godwin. So pretty easy for me to not put Sanders over those guys. And then again, it might be tougher if Winston was playing, but I got to go Godwin and Olave. I mean, I probably would anyway. So, all right, Abhimanyu Singh wants to know between Josh Reynolds, Dobbs, Elijah Moore. Haven't had an Elijah Moore question this week, probably because a lot of people dropped him, or Garrett Wilson. This is where it gets tough.
I actually could fairly easily go Garrett Wilson here. I like Garrett Wilson's matchup this week. I still can't start Elijah Moore. Like, I need to see it first. Let me see it one time first before I can feel good about him. Reynolds, okay, I get it because Chark is out, but against the Patriots, who actually do a good job against outside wide receivers, just not much. Dobbs, again, there's not much there. Dobbs, I'm going to go Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, for this one, I will say Garrett Wilson. This is always going to be a tough call, but yeah, Elijah Moore, let's see it. Josh Reynolds is questionable. Sun God might be back, so it's Garrett Wilson it is. Isaac K, do you buy the hype for Breece? Well, if you've watched this ever since the preseason, then yes. Okay, but he lost Javonte, Breece, Kareem, and Gordner's only running backs left. He's got Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Godwin, so you're strong at receiver. Needs an RB1. So what do you think?
I mean, you do, but I lost Javonte in a couple leagues, and I had Breece Hall in those leagues. Well, not on all of them. I think I lost Javonte in like 3 leagues, but I had Breece in 2 of them, and I feel good. Like, I mean, yeah, I wish I had Javonte and Breece, but I feel good with Breece. Feel really good about Breece. I think he can be an every week RB1 going forward. Kareem, I think, is okay if he's your RB2. I mean, you definitely need a running back, but I don't know if I want to if you could trade maybe Curtis Samuel and Melvin Gordon. Now that Javante's out, maybe people can buy in. But after Thursday, I don't know if anybody's going to buy into Melvin Gordon. That's the problem.
Yeah. Not anymore.
But I think Breece is going to be like an every week startable running back going forward.
Yeah, he might not quite be there yet, but yeah, Breece Hall could be your RB1 and you'll be fine. And you know what? Better to have your strength as those wide receivers who can support you. I mean, you got stud receivers, so don't be too worried. If you have to switch between Kareem Hunt and Gordon as your RB2, like that's not the worst problem to have.
Exactly.
All right, Mouth Diddler.
All right, interesting.
Give Pierce, Cook, and Pickens to get Barkley.
Oh my God, is that Dalvin Cook? So we're giving Dameon Pierce, Dalvin Cook, and George Pickens to get Barkley.
I'm guessing Dalvin because there's no S at the end of it. So is that too much? I mean, you're giving up 2 running backs. You know, Pickens to me is like whatever. He's kind of a throw-in.
Yeah, is it too much? It's close. Like on the surface, it's probably too much. But I think Dalvin Cook is gonna have a great week this week, and everybody's gonna like talk themselves back into Dalvin Cook being an every week RB1, and then he's gonna go back to being what he was at the beginning of the season because again, this offense is not a run heavy offense anymore. But he's got the Bears this week, and they're just gonna run wild on him. Pierce I do like, but are those guys really more than RB2s? That's the thing. Like, I don't think Cook's an RB1 anymore, and I like Pierce a lot, but what is he at? High-end RB2? Can we really put him in like that RB1, like every week, no doubt about it type running back range? I don't think so. And man, Barkley has the look. Like not just in fantasy, like in real life. Like you watch Barkley run and you're like, you remember why this guy was a top 5 draft pick. Like he has that look. Like people talk about like Nick Chubb, the best, pure runner in the NFL, or Derrick Henry, the best pure runner. And then you watch Saquon Barkley and you're like another level than those guys. He just is like explosiveness, burst, like everything, and pass catching. He just is. So he just has that look. He has that look of like the guy who's going to be the guy this year. Do I want to give up that? I don't think I do. I think I hold Barkley. I hold Barkley. He just has that look to me. He has that look of like going to be the RB1 this year. So I'm going to hold Barkley.
Yeah, I don't mind doing this to get Barkley. Now, of course, you got probably Cook as your number one.
Get Barkley? Yeah, I'm going to pick Barkley. Sorry.
I mean, I'm assuming then you're giving up these 2 guys that you have somebody that you're fine plugging in at RB2. So assuming that, I think you can do this. Because again, Pickens to me is just kind of a throw-in at this point. Roman Araguayu wants to know, make space for a kicker.
Oh, that's always fun.
Would you drop Mariota, James Cook, or the Saints? I mean, look, if you already have a defense, you don't need a second defense. Yeah,
but worse, you have Josh Allen. Do you even need Marcus Mariota either? You have Josh Allen.
Or you could Pickett.
Or Pickett. You can drop Mariota.
Oh, but look, it's super flex.
Oh, okay, super flex. Okay, then drop the Saints.
Yeah.
Who is his defense?
49ers.
Yeah, drop one of your defenses. Whichever defense you're not going to play this week, drop them. Pick up a kicker.
The 49ers are the type of defense you can play every week and not worry too much about it. The 1 week they have a bye, you stream whoever, and then that's it. But yeah, in Superflex, you do keep the quarterback.
Sorry.
But other than that, you don't need a second defense. All right. So Henry Marte did put a super chat here. I'll see if I can see a question either before or after. If you get to it first, Chris, you let me know. But let's go to Stu Money. Stu wants to know 2 RBs and 2 flex. We got Ramondre, Lenny, Higgins, Olave, Brandon Cooks, Miles Sanders, Hollywood, and London. All right, let's start with the 2 RBs.
I'm going to go Lenny and Stevenson.
Yeah, Lenny and Stevenson for sure.
And then I'm going to flex Hollywood and Higgins. I just think those wide receivers are just too good.
I mean, Higgins is a flex. You got some good receivers in front of him, I guess. And same thing with Hollywood. So, yeah, I go Higgins and Hollywood to flex. Lenny and Stevenson are your running backs. You can definitely sit London this week. Not a good matchup for him. And Olave, again, with no Winston, it's not really as tough a question there. All right, Buddy Sauceman Sounds legit. Buddy Sauceman wants to know PPR, Terry McLaurin or Romeo Dobbs. Super easy there. It's definitely Terry.
Yeah. Definitely Terry. Like the matchup this week. No Dotson. Got to go with Terry.
You want to know why we're all over Terry this week? Check out that wide receiver boom video. Talked about Terry specifically. Dobbs is okay, but he's not going to match McLaurin, especially this week. TJ, once again, wants to know PPR flex, Corey Davis or Zay Jones?
I'm going to go Corey Davis here. I like him. I like him in this matchup against the Dolphins, giving up a ton of yards. I like Zay Jones too, but to me, Zay Jones is just like, yeah, he's okay. So I'm going to go Corey Davis.
I like Corey Davis's usage so far. You know, everyone's going crazy over Garrett Wilson the first 2 weeks, but now after 4 games on the season, Corey Davis is actually being more productive. So go Corey Davis. Greg, once again, now here's his team. Got Saquon, Eckler, Breece Hall, Pierce. That's pretty good. Sun God, Pitman, Sutton, London, Zay Jones, Thielen, and Pickens. Do you keep Eckler or do you trade him?
I'm trading him, especially with this team. You got Saquon, Breece, and Pierce. You're good at running back. Eckler coming off that huge game. Now's the time to trade him. You've got some, you've got Sun God, who's the greatest wide receiver who's ever walked the earth or the sun. But other than that, you just have like some really good wide receivers. You don't have like that stud alpha wide receiver. Like, see if you can package like Eckler and maybe London or Thielen or something like that, and see if you can get like a true stud, wide receiver, like a Diggs who's had a couple downs games, or an Adams or somebody like that.
Yeah, this you don't need Eckler.
Maybe even Chase, who people are low on right now.
This is true. Again, it doesn't hurt to try. It doesn't hurt to ask. People are down on Chase. People are worried about Chase. Try it out, see what happens. Yeah, you don't need Eckler, honestly. Breece Hall and Dameon Pierce might match or outscore him rest of the season. That's not, exaggerating. That's just how it's been. All right, so V-Law, what's the problem with the Steelers?
I can tell you what the problem with the Steelers is. They went into the season with Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett as their starting QB, and I'm sorry, but look, maybe Pickett will be the guy. I didn't believe in Pickett coming into the draft. I didn't think he should be a first-round pick. I didn't think he was going to be a good NFL quarterback. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. I definitely didn't believe in Trubisky. The problem is, it's hard to win without a quarterback in this league. It's really hard to win without a quarterback in this league, and they don't have a quarterback.
Pickett's going to be boom bust. That whole offense looks like it's going to be boom bust. I mean, it's hard to say trade Najee because his value is not high right now. I mean, who's believing in him as a stud RB at this point? So I hold Najee, but yeah, obviously we're a little bit down on him compared to before. But I'm not completely giving up on him either. All right, and then Henry from before, Henry Marte, Dobbins or Pierce?
Definitely Pierce for me. Love Pierce this week.
Yeah, I love Pierce. I think this could be a good week for Dobbins, but especially with full PPR, you still give the edge to Pierce. To me, it's a tough call, but I give the edge to Pierce.
You're that high on Dobbins this week, huh?
I mean, I'm a little higher on him just because I think he'll get a lot of usage. But
I know, but he's got second game back from ACL. Pierce is like a rookie who looks incredible.
True. I'm just looking just this week. All right, Jimmy B. Half PPR, 12 teams, 1-3. Need some help here. Pick 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex. So you got both the Pats running backs, Sanders and Hall, Mike Williams, Dobbs, and Godwin.
I go Hall and Stevenson. What do you need? You need 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and then I go Mike Williams and Godwin.
For sure.
And then I'm gonna flex Sanders, I think. I do like Damian Harris a lot, but do I want to be that invested in the Patriots offense this week with Zappy? Like, what if they just bomb? Like, what if they just complete? I know it's the Lions, and you say they can't bomb against the Lions, and you're probably right because you can't bomb against the Lions. But what if they do, and you have both running backs, and they just bomb? And I do feel good about Sanders this week. I know he's always like, one week he goes off and the next week he does nothing, but I like Sanders this week. So I'm going to go Sanders at my flex.
Yeah, I agree. You don't want to go too all in on the Patriots offense. Look, the receivers easily not Dobbs. It's easily Godwin and Williams, and you can sit Dobbs. Running back, definitely Breece Hall, and then I would go Stevenson, and then I'd flex Sanders. I'm with you there. All right, Wayne Parrott. Full PPR. Got Mahomes, Lamb, Curtis Samuel, Eckler, Najee, Kelsey, Monty, Herbert, Dobbs, Higbee, Corey Davis, and Boyd. What trades to improve? Maybe because look, you got Lamb, Curtis Samuel. Is Curtis Samuel the number 2 receiver on this team?
Yeah, this is another one kind of like Roberto's team where it's like you need wide receiver help, but can you really you can't really trade away Eckler right now because now you're rolling out like Najee and Monty every week, and I don't know how good you feel about that right now. Yeah, this kind of feels like that team Roberto posted. It's like you don't really have a lot of trade value on this team. I mean, Samuel has some trade value. If you needed a running back, you could maybe trade Samuel for like a decent running back, but you need Samuel. Like you really need Samuel on this team. And like I said, like Najee doesn't have any trade value right now. Monty doesn't really have trade value right now because he's been hurt. Eckler does, but you kind of need Eckler. So, I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, look, if you really want to roll the dice here, I mean, if you're down bad, like 1-3 or something, you just hope that Najee gets better. You go with Monty / Herbert as your RB2 on a weekly basis, and you trade Eckler to get a stud. But that's right. That's really putting a lot of faith in who you got on your roster.
I mean, if you
receiver,
if you do that, you better get a really good. Like, don't be trading Eckler for like, I don't know, who's somebody. Like, don't be trading for just a good wide receiver.
Like DK Metcalf or something.
Yeah, like you better get like a true, like get T. Higgins or Tyreek Hill or like a true difference maker wide receiver. Like, don't be trading them for just like an okay wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind doing that, like I said, because honestly, at this point, you just have to get something out of Najee. And if you don't, you might be kind of screwed, right? And there's not a whole lot you can do there. Look, it happens, right? But I don't mind swapping out Eckler for a Tyreek Hill type. Maybe people are low on him because, he's hurt and then the Tua thing. See what happens. Or a T. Higgins. But other than that, there's not a whole lot you probably can do right now. MK wants to know Breece or Najee. Well,
this week, definitely got to go Breece.
Got to go Breece for sure this week. And then he also wants to know Dobbins or Lockett.
Oh, boy.
Aren't you glad we have so many Dobbins questions?
I feel like they're probably going to get the same amount of points. I mean, Dobbins certainly has more touchdown upside because the Ravens will give him chances to score touchdowns. Whereas I don't think the Seahawks are going to give Lockett chances to score touchdowns. So it's like I feel like Lockett is a safe 12 points, but that's all you're going to get from him. You're just going to get 12 points. You get like 11, 12 points. You just get that every single week, 11 and 12 points. And I feel like you're going to say Dobbins, so just to make it easy, I'm going to say on MK, I'm going to say Dobbins.
All right, there we go. Dobbins, good job convincing Chris to pick Dobbins. All right, and he has another question. MK, hope you're watching here. All right, Akers, Elijah Moore, Fargo, Gallup, or ATN.
Oh my gosh, really? Oh boy.
I think we can probably say no to ATN.
I'm just gonna shoot for the upside of Gallup against a terrible Rams secondary. Hopefully, he can hit it on a big play, score a touchdown again. I'm gonna roll a Gallup out of that group.
Yeah, I mean, you can't start Etienne. You really can't start Akers. Elijah Moore, too much risk. It's true. At first I would say, Gallup's got a tough matchup, but he actually has a great matchup. So shoot for Gallup.
Yeah, that Rams secondary gives up so many big plays.
All right, and then the mouth diddler is back. Have CMC, Cook, Pierce, Swift, and Mostert worth to trade any of these for Saquon? Well, yeah.
Definitely. Especially yes.
But who?
I mean, obviously, if I could trade Dalvin Cook for Saquon, I'm doing that. If I can trade, well, I mean, obviously, if I can trade Mostert for Saquon, I'm doing that, but no one's going to do that. So if I can trade, maybe if Dalvin Cook goes off this week like he should, if you could trade Dalvin for Saquon, I'm doing that. I would trade Pierce for Saquon. I would trade any of those guys for Saquon because, like I said, Saquon has the look. He's getting the touches. He looks explosive. He's making people miss. He's breaking. It doesn't even matter that the Giants are terrible and have a terrible O-line because he's just making people miss. He's breaking tackles. He's ripping off huge runs. He just has the look. He's catching passes. So I would trade any of those guys.
Well, we just had this very similar question here of Cook and Pierce. Given his depth, he's got Swift there. He's got CMC. Would you just package Cook and Pierce to get Saquon?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, man, you have CMC, Saquon, and Swift. You're running your league. You're destroying your league. The league has no chance.
There you go. You just run over and then, maybe see if you can do Cook and Pierce for Saquon and a receiver, like a number 3 or 4 receiver, just somebody. Start with that. I mean, that guy should go for it. He probably would because you think, oh, I'm getting Cook and Pierce. That's awesome. All right, Joe Mazzola. Would you change your starters? Got Derrick Henry, J-Rob, AJ Brown, Chris Olave, Dalvin Cook. Ooh, we got Lamb on the bench though.
No, I gotta put Lamb. I gotta put Lamb in my lineup for sure.
Over Olave, probably.
Over Olave. And even though I'm super high on Breece Hall this week, I gotta roll with Dalvin Cook. It's just too good of a matchup. Too good.
Over what about James Robinson? Keep him in over Breece Hall?
That one's close. I think I slightly go Breece Hall just because of the usage, but I get Robinson's matchup is incredible this week too. That one's close, but I think I like to go with the guy getting the usage. Although J-Rob prior to last week was getting the usage, so maybe it goes back to that because they're probably not going to be playing from way behind. So yeah, I'm fine with J-Rob.
I'm going to go, definitely put CeeDee Lamb in there. I'd put him in over Olave. And then it is close between Robinson and Hall. I'll keep Robinson in just because I feel like there's a big week coming. But that's really close. And then Kyle, would you trade Saquon for Stevenson and Dobbins?
Only if I'm getting Saquon. I'm not giving up Saquon for Stevenson and Dobbins. No chance.
No, it looks like he's got Saquon because there's my running backs now are Saquon, Swift, Etienne, Rashad. Why? There's no reason to justify trading away Saquon, especially for those two guys.
Yeah.
No, do not do this. Keep Saquon. Be happy you have Saquon. Stevenson is not like a for sure every week start. Dobbins is more like a low end RB2. Hooley. Got Khalil Herbert, Dylan, Brandon Cooks, Ramondre, or Amari. Flex. I guess we're just picking one.
Oh, boy. Man. How do you have all
this
these
is tough
options?
These are all guys we've kind of liked. We both like Dylan and Ramondre, but, Amari Cooper, hard to bench Amari Cooper.
It is, but man, that's the thing. Do I bench Amari Cooper for these guys? That's really close. It's really I'm torn between Amari and Dylan. Like Cooks has a good matchup, but we know the risk with Cooks. Davis Mills is the risk with Cooks. Right.
Yeah, Cooks is one of those guys you talked about, like hasn't gone off when he should. So I would like.
I feel like I have to start Amari.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like Amari's in full PPR. I mean, I like Dylan, but I don't know if I would bench Amari for him.
Yeah.
All right, we'll hesitantly go with Amari here. Don't start Najee, Jeff Wilson, or Zay Jones.
I don't really want to. I'm going to go back to what I said. I think really early. If you're really, really nervous about Najee this week, I think Jeff Wilson is an okay start. It's a decent matchup for him. We know he's going to at least get like 15 to 20 carries. Can always score a touchdown. So I'm okay playing Jeff Wilson over Najee if you just are terrified of seeing Najee against the Bills in your lineup. I get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't ever get excited about Jeff Wilson, even though he looked good last week. And just, oh man, I don't know, Najee. Najee's gonna be the death of us.
I mean, look, I hope after this week we're talking about Najee, like Najee's back, and like, oh yeah, you told me to play Jeff Wilson over him, you idiot. I'm like, yeah, you're right, I'm an idiot. But man, from what we've seen, and Kenny Pickett making his first start on the road in Buffalo, like, man, I'm terrified.
Yeah. All right. Go Wilson, I guess. Buzzed football. Would you flex Edmonds, Cooks, or McKenzie? Now, in this case, I can go Cooks.
Yeah, I was going to say Brandon Cooks, definitely. I like the matchup. Always has that upside. I'm going to go Brandon Cooks.
Edmonds, just hardly any upside at this point anymore. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe Teddy B dumps it off to him a lot, but I'm not taking that chance. And McKenzie's still questionable. We don't know if he's going to play. So, Jimmy B, once again, would you trade Lenny Gibson, Hollywood, Moore, Gabe Davis? Okay, so we're trading 5 players at once now. Lenny Gibson, Hollywood, DJ Moore, Gabe Davis for Hall, Sanders, Godwin, Kenneth Walker, and Tony. You lost me at the end there.
So I like Hall more than Lenny. I definitely like Sanders more than Gibson. I probably still like Hollywood more than Godwin, but it's close. I don't even like DJ Moore, but I like him more than Walker, and I like Gabe Davis way more than Tony. Tony, almost unrosterable. So I'm gonna go for the first side.
Yeah, if you can try this again and take Gabe Davis out of that deal and take Tony out of the deal, then I would do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tony is not worth trading for. By the way, guys, if you first of all, we got about 15 minutes left. We're going almost on 3 hours here. We do have to stop at some point, so we're gonna try to finish all these very soon. If you didn't get your questions answered, join that Discord, especially those of you who are spamming the chat. And I know you want people in the chat to help answer your questions. Just go to the Discord. That's a
we have some really sharp guys in there that can help you out. Plus, Pierre and I are active in there as well.
We're in there as much as possible. Quick one here.
Not picking up Odell. I'm not picking.
No, there's no incentive to pick up. Just because he's the news doesn't mean he's going to help your fantasy team. So you can wait. Pump the brakes on that. Bear Camp Cabin Rentals, also now a loyal weekly super chatter. So we appreciate that. Going to have to get out there one of these days. Jags or Cowboys defense?
I got to go Cowboys. They're a great defense. The Rams offense should not scare you based on what we've seen recently. That O-line is destroyed. They should get plenty of sacks. I'm sure Stafford will turn it over. I don't think the Rams are going to drop a bunch of points. I'm going Cowboys.
Yeah, I do think the Jags have the better matchup, but look, Stafford's taking sacks. Cowboys have a good defense. I'll go with the Cowboys too. Popcorn Playa 86. Pick 2 for wide receiver. Scary Terry, Higgins, Gabe, or Lave. And then
I think you got to go Higgins and McLaurin.
Yes.
Wide receiver.
And then Penny or Connor.
Oh boy. I think I still go Penny. Yeah, I don't.
Great matchup for Penny, but I mean, come on. Are we even interested in Connor anymore?
No, I'm not. I'm gonna go Penny. I'm gonna
go Penny too. It's definitely Scary Terry and Higgins for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thesse Lake Show. The Sesh Lake Show. All right. 0-4. Who to trade for? So he's got Brady.
I think that's Derrick Henry. At first I was thinking Henderson, but I think it's Derrick Henry.
I hope it's Derrick Henry. All right. Fournette, Cooks, Dobbs, Higbee, Waller. Okay, well,
I see your problem. You need a wide receiver. Like your wide receiver.
Waller, you can trade Waller away because you can just start Higbee.
Yeah, I would be trying to trade like Waller and maybe you need a wide receiver, definitely. Like you can't have Brandon Cooks as your wide receiver 1. That's going to be tough every week. So maybe try to trade Waller and Brandon Cooks to a team that needs a tight end and see if you can get an upgrade at wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're going to get Hopkins back in a couple weeks. Hopefully Bateman is back in a week or two. Yeah, but you still need
a couple weeks. You might be 0-6. And then it doesn't matter. You got Hopkins back.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely need an upgrade receivers. I would say that exactly. Try to trade Waller for a good receiver, package him. with whoever. I don't think it really matters any of these receivers you have, Dobbs, Cooks, Moore. But if you can trade these more, that's great. But
yeah.
Edit 718, pick 2, Brees, Pierce, Stevenson.
Again, I love Stevenson this week, but he does have some risk because he's in a timeshare with Damian Harris. Pierce is not in a timeshare. Brees looks like he's not in a timeshare. I got to go those two guys, Brees and Pierce.
Definitely agree. Brees and Pierce, those first two. Isaac, again, would you trade Tyreek or Jamar for Swift or Eckler?
Okay, I would trade, not for Eckler, the person with Brees, Hunt, and Gordon. If I can get Swift for Tyreek, I'd do that. I don't know if I'm ready to do Swift for Jamar yet. It's close. I might, because having that potential game-breaking running back is more valuable than the game-breaking wide receiver. And you do only have Brees, Hunt, and Gordon, so you do need the running back. I would try Tyreek first. I know you love Tyreek, but I still believe Jamar will be better. I still believe there's a reason why we were drafting Jamar in the first round. So I think if you can do Tyreek for Swift, I do that. I probably consider Jamar for Swift as well. Maybe have him throw, because Swift's value is not super high right now anyways. So maybe they can throw somebody in with Swift if you're going to do Jamar.
Yeah, because you do kind of need a running back. I think it's okay because Swift, I mean, we know what his upside is, right? He just needs to be healthy. So this might be the time to trade Tyreek because he is questionable this week. Maybe he won't have a big week. I would do that. I wouldn't trade for Eckler, neither of those two guys. And I probably wouldn't trade Jamar right now. So that's the only move I would do. Maybe Tyreek for Swift.
And then he asked in defense, Bucks or Packers. I can say Bucks very easily this week.
Oh, yeah. Easily Bucks. Bucks. All right. I almost missed that. NoCal 18. Should I flex Terry, Devante Smith, or Brees?
3 guys I really like.
Yeah, that's tough.
Brees probably the safest. I think Smith has the highest upside. And then I think Terry's kind of in the middle. Like Terry has good upside as well, but I think he has like a good safe floor as well. Man. I'm kind of leaning Terry here, but I think it depends on your team. Like if you have a really, really, really good team with like a lot of studs, I think I go Brees because I feel confident that Brees, a guy getting 15 carries and catching 4+ passes is going to give you a solid number of fantasy points pretty much every week. And I do really like Devante Smith this week, but we know like he's kind of boom bust, right? He can go off, or he can maybe it's an AJ Brown game, or maybe they don't have to throw it that much. So I don't know. Yeah, that's in a vacuum. I probably go Terry.
It's 3 good options. That's the thing. I mean, look, if this is full PPR, that gives the edge to the receivers. I'm all in on Terry this week, so I'm sticking with Terry. Devante Smith is a strong start, but again, he's the number 2 guy. Terry's going to be the number 1, especially with Dotson out. I love the matchup, so I'm going Terry, but I don't mind starting any of these guys. Trone Force, how to improve. All right, you got Kyler, Diggs, Pitman, Hollywood, Cooper. That's pretty good. Saquon, Fournette, D. Harris, pretty good too. Where do you improve on this team? I would say improve, get a better quarterback, but that's just me.
Yeah, but
but you can't.
Yeah, but you can't. You can't. And you got Everett, who just looks like a solid tight end, at least for a while. I really don't know how you – that's the only way, right, is if you could, maybe do a 2-for-1. But you don't really want to trade – you don't want to trade, Diggs, Pittman, or Hollywood just to get a QB. You don't want to trade Saquon or Fournette just to get a QB. This team looks great. This team is great. I don't think you have to – I think you're good.
I really don't think you need to improve too much. Everett, whatever, but he's been better than a lot of guys that were drafted ahead of him, right? Dawson Knox and George Kittle and Dalton Schultz.
Kyle Pitts.
There's really not a lot that you need to do. That's a good problem to have. But again, if you want to throw out some offers, again, this is a good time to mention you can join the Discord, throw out your trades in the trades channel. Maybe people can help you with more specific ideas. If you put together some trade packages, you never know. Maybe you got a guy in your league who has 2 quarterbacks. He has, like, for some reason, Jalen Hurts and I don't know, Joe Burrow or something. I don't know. Eddie James, flex for PPR. Ayuk, Gallup, Pickens, Pacheco. You can't start Pacheco.
No, and I just can't start Pickens this week. I can't do it. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I just can't do it.
No.
Again, I'm going to go back to Gallup, and I'm just going to shoot for the home run against the terrible Rams secondary that gives up tons of big plays. That's where I'm going.
At this point, I think Gallup and Ayuk are kind of the same guy, and Jimmy G and Cooper Rush are kind of the same guy. Gallup has the better matchup, believe it or not. I agree. I would go Gallup. He's not a guy I'm rushing to throw in my lineup, but there's Ayuk. Akil Stigler wants to know, who should I drop more? Elijah Moore or somebody else? So we got Waddle, Cook, Samuel McLaurin, Gallup, Pickens.
But I mean, who
Elijah Moore?
Who are you dropping him for? Like, yeah, who are you dropping him for? I mean, look, with Waddle, Cook, Samuel McLaurin, Gallup, Pickens, assuming Keenan Allen ever plays football again, you're probably never going to start Elijah Moore. Let's be real. Like, you just aren't. Like, you have a good wide receivers. So yeah, I think you can drop them, but it depends who you're picking up, of course. Like, don't just drop them.
Just dropping, like, are you activating Robinson off IR and you need to drop somebody, or like is this just like a rage drop or what? Like,
yeah, I wouldn't rage drop him, but if you're activating Brian Robinson or you need a kicker, I know some people need a kicker, then yeah, I think in that case you can drop him because you're not going to ever play him. You're never.
Like I wouldn't drop anyone else instead of Elijah Moore. If that's the question, no, he would be the one to drop.
Yeah. Okay,
and then Julio Espinoza. I have 1 RB spot, 1 flex spot open. Who do you start? J-Rob, Amon-Ra, Dobbins, Curtis Samuel, Josh Jacobs, Damian Harris. Okay.
I want to say Amon-Ra, if he plays, is your flex, definitely, which good for you to have him as your flex. And then I will think I'm gonna go J-Rob as your running back. Although I did almost put Josh Jacobs on the boom. But I wanted to talk about Edwards-Helaire. It was close between them.
Not Dobbins.
Not Dobbins. If Amon-Ra doesn't play, then I probably do go Jacobs as my flex.
Yeah, I agree with that. Robinson, feel really good about him. Don't mind Dobbins, but I wouldn't put him over Robinson. And then Amon-Ra, you have to start if he plays. If he doesn't, go Jacobs. There you go. Keep going, guys. We got about 5 minutes left. We do try to help. So agree with that. All right. Georgie, 12-man PPR, 1 through 3. Got Dak, Wentz, Teddy, Mixon, Singletary, Najee, AJ Brown, Adams, Wilson, and then Njoku and Schultz. All right. So what do you do with this team?
I
mean, I think you could start Wentz this week just because of the matchup, but you don't love it.
Yeah, I don't love it. I mean, I can see why you're 1 and 3. Obviously, Najee's been letting you down. Mixon's been like good, but not great. Your QBs have not, Wentz. Yeah, he was great the first 2 weeks when you probably didn't play him because you were playing Dak, who wasn't very good, and then you probably started playing Wentz, and Wentz got really bad. So I can see, but overall, this team's pretty solid. If Mixon starts doing what he should be doing based on the usage he's getting, and Najee at some point turns it around. I mean, I think this week I'd play Singletary over Najee, sadly. I'd rather have Singletary against the Steelers and Najee against the Bills. I think you're good at wide receiver. I mean, I think Njoku can more than hold down the fort until Schultz gets back. Yeah, I think you're okay. Win this week. You'll be 2 and 3. Hopefully Dak is back. There's talk he might be back next week or the week after. Hopefully Najee gets it going, and then I think you'll be okay. So I don't really see anything here where, like, you have to do this. It's just you just need your players to play better. Really, you have good players. They just need to start playing better.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of the draft, you had a really solid team for 12-man. You got AJ Brown and Adams, along with those 2 running backs. I'm not sure how, but you're just kind of stuck because you're stuck hoping for Najee to do something. You're stuck waiting for Dak to come back. Well, once Dak comes back and he starts throwing to Schultz, you'll see definitely a boost on your team, and just wait on that. You're just gonna have to kind of unfortunately be patient for a couple more weeks. And then Raheem, Texas, maybe. Which two? Garrett Wilson, Herbert, or Devante?
Man, the one I actually feel the best about here is Garrett Wilson. Sadly, if Montgomery doesn't play, then yes, then I go Garrett Wilson and Herbert. The problem is if do I really want to play Deontay Johnson with Kenny Pickett against Buffalo? No, I don't. I really don't. Really don't. But I can't really start Herbert if Montgomery plays.
No, it's PPR. So I think if Montgomery is completely ruled out, you go with Herbert and I guess Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
And if not, then go with the 2 receivers.
Yeah.
Big, luscious. One more time. Gabe Davis and DJ Moore for Pitman. Yes.
I definitely. So wait, now you're getting Pitman back? So you traded Pitman for Breece Hall, now you're getting Pitman back? I definitely take this deal. If you're getting Pitman back, I definitely take this deal. Definitely.
Do that deal.
So wait, did he just get Breece Hall and Pitman for nothing? You got.
I love that. I love the constant. I mean, that's what you did. The active teams, especially on the waiver wire and trade, those are the teams that win almost always. All right, PPR, Astro Mope, Breece Hall or Curtis Samuel.
Look, I like Curtis Samuel this week. It's a good matchup, but I can't play him over Breece Hall against Miami. I got to go Breece Hall.
I think they're both pretty solid, but I agree. I'm going to go with Breece Hall this week. And then Alex Sanchez again. Stream Goff or Lawrence. And then defense, we got 3 choices.
I think I'm going to go Lawrence this week. Again, it's good that Amon Ross should be back for Goff, but against New England, I mean, this is going to be a super low-scoring game, a slow-paced game. I like Lawrence a little more than Goff this week against Houston.
I'm going to agree. Yeah. Lawrence the better matchup.
I think I got to go the Saints. I can't start a banged up. I know it's Zach Wilson and the Jets, and you think like, okay, sacks and turnovers, and sure, but that defense is pretty banged up, and they're giving up a lot of yards and things. In Tennessee, I can't start them. I'm gonna go the Saints.
Go the Saints too. I'm never gonna run out to start Tennessee, even though I know it's Washington, but there's just not enough turnovers there. And then Miami's defense not looking great these days, unfortunately. And look, here's the follow-up. Pig Luscious. His commissioner reversed the trade.
What?
That just should not happen. Not even a veto. He's saying the commissioner. Man, that commissioner is trying to hold some power. You just I hate that. Hate to see it.
That's crazy. So because Pittman's coming off a bad game, it's like, no, you can't. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's
why you got to get in the Discord. You got to play in the end game leagues next year. Play in the end game leagues.
And let's end with this. Happy Saturday. Early game again. Remember, guys, these overseas games. Don't forget. Don't do what happened last week and keep Kamara in your lineup and then he doesn't play. Check just to be safe for those early games.
Yeah, at least set the alarm, wake up, make sure you guys are playing, and then go back to bed.
All right. But yes, happy Saturday and good luck in week 5 now. Don't forget, join the Discord. It's absolutely free. Link is below. Join the Patreon if you're interested. The link is also below. And good luck. We'll be here again live tomorrow night to wrap up everything that happened in week 5 and get early jump on your waiver wire and trade questions.
All right, guys.
All right.
See ya.